rain bands come in, and we've watched the winds, and they come and they go. But I mean, this is something that's going to continue for a while, and we're now a little bit, a couple of hours away from landfall still.
Right, about 2.5 to 3 hours. And tonight we're hearing from residents who have evacuated, who heeded the warnings. We're always happy to hear that. They're trying to escape the worst of Hurricane Milton. And Josh Benson spoke with several people who live on St. Pete Beach, and now they're riding out the storm where he is in Wesley Chapel.
All right, we're here at the Hyatt Place in Wesley Chapel. This is where our temporary studio is set up, and we're starting to meet some of the people who have evacuated along with us here to the hotel. Good to see you guys.
Hi, how you doing?
What's your name, by the way?
Gary Starr.
And what's your name?
Cheryl.
Okay, where'd you guys come from?
St. Pete Beach.
So you're not wasting any time or screwing around at all?
Right.
No.
So when did you decide, hey, we got to get out of St. Pete Beach and get inland?
Probably last Friday.
Okay.
When we knew things were coming and figured we had to get out of town after we saw what Helene did, we knew that we couldn't stay. We're in the 6th floor of a condominium.
Okay.
So hopefully our condo's okay, but everything around was just devastation from Helene. So
How long have you been in St. Pete Beach?
About 8 years now.
How many hurricanes?
Oh gosh, a couple tropical storms, a couple hurricanes, nothing like this one's supposed to be.
What do you think about this one? I mean, it's been building up for a while, but it forms in the Gulf, comes right across the Gulf right at us. You don't see that very often.
Right. Well, at this time between Irma and this one, both of them we felt like we're losing our home. We're not quite sure what's going to happen, but we'll see.
Was it tough to get a hotel and get your way here?
No, it wasn't. That's why we started last week looking for hotels and everything, because we knew it was a possibility it was coming.
Okay.
So we looked for the hotels, and then we decided to come on. I think it was Monday or Tuesday we came.
Do you have any pets or children or anything with you? Or?
No.
Okay. Easy. I didn't listen to that. I got 2 kids and 4 animals, so it's like there's a lot more to deal with there. All right, so what's your plan after this?
I guess we'll find out tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Are you worried?
A little bit. You know, everything was underwater with Helene, and it took probably half a week just to get back on the island. So we'll see what comes after this. Don't know.
Well, thanks so much for talking with us. Interrupt your lunch here. We're neighbors now, so good to meet you both, and we wish you well. Stay safe, and we appreciate you talking to us.
Thanks.
They are just a few of several people who are at the hotel with us, so we're going to ride out the storm here tonight, and we'll keep you posted on everything that happens from Wesley Chapel. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Josh. And because we are down here in downtown Tampa on the water, we have that backup. Josh Benson up there in Wesley Chapel. So if something happens here and we lose power, as we did in Helene briefly, we do have a backup.
All right, we do. And we also have Kenny Morales standing by. And Kenny, you've taken some rain there. Poor George MacArthur. I mean, she was getting pelted with rain a moment ago. She's in Pinellas.
Yeah, guys, you could just tell the conditions here are starting to deteriorate very quickly. Myself and photographer extraordinaire Bob Hansen have been just kind of driving around through northern Pinellas County, and I would say within the past 30 to 45 minutes or so, the rain has just picked up incredibly intensely, including the wind, and just getting pelted with rain and wind to the point that it's almost impossible to drive. Honestly, we were driving very slowly, very carefully around the streets here in Seminole, but it's getting to the point where the visibility is almost zero. There'd be cars right in front of you. Thankfully, there aren't too many on the roads right now, but very, very scary scenes so far here in Seminole with Hurricane Milton still, several hours away.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Kenny out there reporting, and I said Georgia MacArthur, she's going to rain.
All right, so back here with everybody in the stream center, folks. Let's go to the real-time wobble tracker, and let's show it. There it is, 440 scan, and we are moments away from the 5 o'clock advisory dropping. Justin, we are getting, of course, all the most necessary updates in this 5 o'clock update. It will be fascinating to see if the cone shifts north, but really that's almost a formality at this point. Key messages will come out as well, but the surge is our #1 concern at this point in where we are with this storm.
Going to be dictated by where the storm ends up. The landfall position is going to be critical, and it's going to be very interesting to see where they place the center and then the projection out from that over the next several hours, affecting the Tampa Bay area and the Sun Coast. So obviously we're waiting this 5 o'clock advisory, watching the data coming in. But judging by what we see on the radar and also the wobble tracker, this storm is pretty much behaving itself and falling within that cone of uncertainty that we've been following from the National Hurricane Center.
So can you bring up the track graphic? Because if we can, that will show when the 5 o'clock advisory drops, and we can show exactly what the wind speeds are, the movement speed, if that's something that you can toggle there on the laptop.
Let's see what we can do here.
And if not, we'll stay with Wobble Tracker. I'll let you work on that, by the way.
Yeah,
And
I'll get that track up here for you.
okay, so in the meantime, folks, the 450 scan is in. Let's evaluate. And it looks like absolutely easterly movement. Thumbs up in the comment section if you see this easterly movement. The jog to the east. A true wobble to the east. I have to point out, Facebook Live, we are beginning a new live stream for the 5 o'clock update. The current live stream will cease. We have, of course, eclipsed just a long live stream on Facebook Live, so we have to restart. Facebook Live, if you're joining us, we will be back with a new post here momentarily. And we'll do that with the 5 o'clock update when it drops. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I see that movement to the east. A lot of others see that movement to the east. Is this going to mean perhaps surge? Where is that surge going to go? Where is that counterclockwise motion in the southeast quadrant of the storm? Is it going to be able to rush into Tampa Bay, which would be a catastrophic scenario, an unsurvivable scenario for anybody that is left in a flood-prone area? And look, we highlighted an individual earlier who would not leave their boat, and that person, look, could be significantly impacted by the wobbles happening in the next, hour or so. Justin.
Absolutely. It's critical. I'm looking at another radar source here behind the scenes, and it's interesting to see to watch this because the eye on the eye wall on the southern portion of the storm is somewhat open, and I'd have to look at the aircraft data to see exactly what they're reporting. But because it is open, the storm itself may be broadening out. So we may end up with a very big eye wall or eye that'll be kind of wandering over the Tampa Bay area. That's going to be critical as well because the position north in latitude is going to dictate if we get that southwest flow, meaning the wind has to come up into the bay to drive the surge in here. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what the National Hurricane Center does here at the 5 o'clock advisory, which looks like we're just getting in right now.
Yeah, it is. It is just dropping. And, Justin, do you have the ability to bring up the track? If not,
that up, if I have it graphically here. Okay, so we got 120.
Yep.
Intensity's come down a bit. There's the forecast track.
The track is basically going. The track
has been changed. It absolutely has been changed.
It's now
going
has been
adjusted north.
It has adjusted north through Anna Maria Island, and the southern tip of Pinellas County is in the red forecast cone. And it'll cycle back here in a second. There are the new spaghetti models showing where they're going to be going. But really, it's interesting. I remember saying on stream on Sunday night that Anna Maria Island was in a really bad spot. And now that we are in this final couple of hours before landfall, Anna Maria Island is looking like it's about to get an insane amount of surge, right? I mean, Anna Maria Island and the areas, the areas
south of it,
right south of it.
Yes, so that would be Longboat Key and St. Armand Circle, if you're familiar with the Sarasota area, Lido Beach, and even into downtown Sarasota. Sarasota proper, the downtown area sits on Sarasota Bay, which took a tremendous amount of storm surge with Helene.
those barrier islands. I'm just shouting them out. Anna Maria Island, Bradenton Beach, Longboat Key, Lido Key Beach, down to Siesta Key, which of course makes up the Sarasota market. I'm sorry, Justin, continue. Just those are some areas that are about to get massive amounts of storm surge rushing in.
Yes, that is correct. As the storm moves in, right now those winds are offshore, keeping the worst of the surge off of the beaches of Manatee and Sarasota. And we looked at the camera out of Bradenton earlier, the Pier 22 camera, showing the wind flow, which is from the east, and that is helping to keep the surge from coming up and into the Manatee River and along the coastline. So as long as we see those winds blowing in the direction that we are looking at here live, JB, this is good for Sarasota, Bradenton for now, because the storm has not made landfall. We're just dealing with the eye wall or the core that is getting closer to those metro areas of Bradenton and Sarasota. However, things are going to go downhill over the next several hours as that core that we've been talking about here and on WFLA as well, and on at WSNN TV, that is going to move ashore here across our southern portions of the area.
All right. We're about to reset for Facebook Live and introduce our new Facebook Live audience. Unless we already have. I'm waiting for our digital content team to let me know. But in the meantime, folks, I want to, well, I have a note to pass along, but I don't know if now is the time to do it. I'm waiting for my team to get back to me and let me know. Perhaps it will be abundantly clear to me if I just check for myself. Let's see. And I'm looking here. Okay, no, we are not live on Facebook. So really quickly, let me pass this along. Justin, I think we're staying put. I don't think that there's a scenario now where you and I would be leaving in these conditions. So correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, there's been talk of you and I going to the backup location.
Yes, that's where we've been seeing Josh Benson and Eric is over there. That was put in place should this storm wander or wobble a little further to the north, affecting Tampa Bay, because this station, WFLA, sits on the Hillsborough River. If that surge were to come in to the bay, it would back up into the Hillsborough River and put WFLA at risk of dealing with water in the building once again. So we have that backup location. The question becomes, does that scenario
stand
actually
by.
play
We have
out?
a new open for Facebook Live.
Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics, powered by Bose Electric.
Right now, Hurricane Milton nearing landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. We are getting updates on Wobble Tracker, updates from the Max Defender 8 radar as this system gets closer and closer to a landfall event. Much of the Tampa Bay area experiencing impacts at this hour. JB and Justin Mosley, WSNN Chief Meteorologist, here with you in the Stream Center, introducing a new live audience. And Justin, we're monitoring this on Wobble Tracker, streaming live on WFLA.com/Wobble Tracker. And this is the critical hours for this storm as we get closer to a landfall event and determining whether or not the storm surge is going to be able to rush into Tampa Bay, or if the storm surge is going to be exclusive to areas such as Anna Maria Island and south all the way through the Sarasota beaches.
That's correct. The Wobble Tracker tracking the eye of the storm and the eye wall, which is the worst portion of the storm. And you can clearly see with the radar echoes, this is what we call reflectivity, highlighting the strongest portion of the storm here, the oranges, the reds on the northeast side, and that's relative to the heading of the storm. And again, the 5 o'clock advisory now in, and I'm just looking at that data as we are kind of pouring over it as it is coming into our weather center here, and the wind speeds have come down a bit. It is a Category 3 storm, and as we look at the information that is...
That says Cat 4. I just want to be clear with our audience. It does say a 4 there on the symbol, but it is a 3, correct?
That is correct. That was an older satellite image that our team is working this as we speak. But the max winds 120. There's the minimum central pressure 948. That's come up a bit. motion northeast at 17. And look at the track.
Yeah, the cone has moved north.
The cone has moved north. The line has moved north into Manatee County. It was over Sarasota. And in between Sarasota proper and Bradenton, that's about a 15-mile difference. So everything has been shifted to the north in response to the trend that we have been watching with our Max Defender 8 radar has been a little further to the north. The concern, will that trend keep up and get this storm at a latitude where that water will rush into Tampa Bay out of the southwest? That is still not out of the realm of possibility. So everybody should continue to shelter in place. We're really starting to get into the heart of this storm right now, JB. At last report, the storm is under, under 100 miles, 60 miles southwest of Sarasota right now. So that means the core, those strong winds that we've been showing you with our Max Defender radar, is going to be working its way onshore. And that's what we're fearful of for damage from the wind, in addition to the storm surge at the point of landfall in areas to the south.
So here's the thing. As I've been paying attention to all of our talented meteorologists, Justin included, again, Justin coming up here from Sarasota, the chief meteorologist at WSNN, our sister station in Sarasota, Florida. Here's the thing about that line, is that if that line holds, if that track holds, it's not north enough to push all of that unsurvivable storm surge. Basically, scenario 1 is not necessarily at its maximum potential. So, I mean, if it moves north of that line, every movement north
is not
worse
good news
for Tampa Bay.
Correct.
It's
now,
south. Yeah.
Exactly. It depends on how far north the storm can get.
Right.
If it doesn't get far enough north, we could see that water level rise, the surge, get into the south side of Tampa Bay. So again, we'd be talking about places like Apollo Beach, the Big Bend of Hillsborough County. St. Pete would deal with the storm surge, because keep in mind, St. Petersburg downtown is on the east side of the Pinellas County area, the Pinellas Peninsula. So it would bore the brunt of that surge if this scenario plays out, if the storm can gain enough latitude and the winds go southwest. And that's what we're continuing to monitor. We can't emphasize the importance of the wobble tracker, because each frame that comes in tells us a lot about the motion of the storm. So much so, with the 5 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center, we saw, I would call, a significant adjustment to the north with the official forecast track. What happened with that, it actually put our area back in the cone, much of Hillsborough County and into Pinellas County, in that cone of uncertainty. So that means there's wiggle room for the storm to move within that window of possible of movement. So everybody, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, and Sarasota counties must continue to shelter in place and brace for the worst of this, which might include a storm surge to get in the south side of Tampa Bay, affecting downtown St. Petersburg at that beautiful pier there. And if it gets enough latitude, this water could get up into downtown Tampa. Again, not out of the realm of possibility with this new update from the National Hurricane Center.
Looking here at the line going through Bradenton, but really those coastal communities that we flew over with Eagle 8 HD in the aftermath of Helene.
Where the sand was completely overtaking beautiful Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key, some of the most pristine real estate in Sarasota County, down towards St. Armand Circle, John's Pass, Big Pass. And water made its way from the Gulf of Mexico, salt water, all the way into downtown Sarasota when it came to Helene. So we're fearful what this scenario could be with this storm so close to our coastline and with such great intensity. This is a Category 3 storm, JB. This is a major hurricane making landfall in the Tampa Bay area.
All right, so looking here at various tools that we have right now at our disposal. That weather computer, by the way, I do not have access to it anymore. But I want to get back to the road. I want to get back to Jeff Patterson. He's clearly in Tampa. Let's look at live conditions from the Max Defender 8 storm vehicle and show everybody what it's looking like out there right now. He's clearly off of Bayshore, and maybe there's a street sign there. We can get a locator. It's really hard to see because of all the raindrops on the camera lens. Perhaps we can get Jeff to join us here momentarily. Oh, actually, no. That's not the Max Fender 8 vehicle. No, this isn't the Max Fender 8 vehicle. I tapped into the wrong feed. Let's come back out to Wobble Tracker and show the 5 o'clock scan, which does show more of that easterly movement. Yeah, and Justin, I'm trying to figure out. I mean, look at all of that activity on the north and northeast side, all the reds and oranges. There's going to be just a tremendous amount of rainfall coming in, no doubt.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted storm. We're dealing with the issue of storm surge that we've been talking about for quite a few days when it comes to this storm. But as it's getting closer, the rain bands, that rain shield now is beginning to move into Bradenton, southern portions of Pinellas County, and into Hillsborough County, encompassing much of Tampa, over to Brandon, Carrollwood. You can see Clearwater, all the way down towards Treasure Island, areas that got hit so hard, as we know, from the surge with Helene. Now dealing with some of the worst from this storm, Milton. And in the eye wall, it's going to be very difficult to escape the fury of this eye wall impacting Manatee, Sarasota, and into portions of Hillsborough counties. All right.
We have Jeff Patterson calling in, but I don't have a source for him, so I'm trying to bring him in, and hopefully we can get Jeff. Jeff, I know you can hear me. We're trying to bring you in live. You're just not available right now as a source, so we're going to try to load you up into the program. Again, Wobble Tracker streaming live right now on WFLA.com. The path of the storm, of course, is of paramount importance from this point forward as to whether or not the storm surge is going to be able to rush into Tampa Bay, how much of it is going to be able to rush into Tampa Bay. But the Sarasota beaches, basically the beaches all the way from Anna Maria Island all the way to the Venice beaches, are going to be experiencing a significant impact. This is a Wobble Tracker image that is outdated by several hours, Justin, so I'm going to deviate from this. Let's come back to the live Wobble Tracker and monitor progress. Oh, my goodness. So here's a shot.
The Skyway Bridge. Yeah, just pull that up. My goodness. I mean, look at those waves over Tampa Bay right now. This is live. And we're looking north across the Skyway Bridge where there's nobody there. It's been shut down. But you can see the cameras beginning to bounce around. That's indicative of the strong tropical storm force winds. But the wave action is incredible. But JB, take a look at this. The direction the waves are moving, that is blowing out of the bay. Sure,
Wow.
there's a lot of white caps, a tremendous amount of wave action there, but the wind is blowing it out of the bay. So right now, the surge from the Gulf of Mexico is definitely not happening because the way the water is flowing is out and away from downtown Tampa.
Standing by, News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson with Joey Capistrand behind the wheel of the Max Fender 8 storm vehicle. Hey there, Jeff. Do you have us?
Hey, good evening, JB. Yes, I do. We are on Davis Island, specifically at the Marjorie Park Yacht Basin right now. I want to show you a look outside. Take a look at that. And very interesting things we've seen. Last time we talked to you on Bayshore Boulevard, we noticed that the wind was pushing the water out of the Bayshore. Now I'm starting to see a shift. Frankly, we're starting to see, literally, you can see the waves starting to come back in. As I was standing on the seawall a short time ago, I could look down and it looked like it was lower than low tide. But now we're starting to see some of that water coming back in. Not saying that we're going to see that enormous storm surge that we were afraid of at one time, but we are observing that the water's starting to come back in. Now, the other thing we've seen is that the wind and the rain have picked up considerably from about a half hour or an hour ago. And I'm going to ask photographer Joey Capistrand to kind of pan over to the left and take a look at that. You'll see this all over Davis Islands. Unfortunately, this is the storm debris. This is the things that people have torn out of their homes or their furniture, their belongings, their drywall, all of the above that they have piled up on the side of the roads here from the storm surge and the damage from Hurricane Helene. Now what we're starting to see is, because of the wind and the water that is coming onto Davis Island, some of that debris is starting to wash into the streets. So I would say that it's particularly hazardous right now to be driving around, because some of this wood has nails protruding and other sharp objects, so it could really be hazardous for your car, your tires, and everything like that. So the city of Tampa, unfortunately, the contractors have not been able to get out in time to pick up all of this storm debris, because who would have expected another major hurricane back to back from Helene and now Milton? So it might be a little bit dangerous to be driving around for some time until the city crews can get out. The thankful thing we have seen is not a lot of traffic out here, not a lot of traffic up on the Selman Expressway, and not a lot of traffic out on Interstate 4 275 as we have been driving around. But that's the fortunate thing. The other fortunate thing that we have observed is haven't seen hardly anyone out here on Davis Islands, as a lot of people who may not have evacuated for Hurricane Helene have now chosen to evacuate for Hurricane Milton, just because of the expected intensity of this storm. So a lot of things going on out here that we are keeping our eye on to let you know what is going on as these conditions develop and emerge throughout the course of the evening.
Jeff, I hope the answer is no. Have you seen any people walking about, or, I remember when you were up there at Cedar Key with Joey, and you were doing that live shot with the waves crashing up, and we couldn't believe it, but behind you, there was somebody just casually kind of walking behind you as if to not have a care in the world. Have you seen foot traffic at all of any kind? Again, I hope the answer is no.
Well, no, we haven't really. I mean, as I was driving into work, I did see some people out, having a personal photo op out on Bayshore Boulevard, with the wind and the water behind them. But really haven't seen anything like that, JB, out for this storm. We have seen some other crews out up on Cedar Key. We noticed that there were some, I would say, streamers that people have their own YouTube channels and things like that. But because I suppose of where the storm was spread out to be, we're not seeing that right now here in downtown Tampa or on Davis Islands.
Jeff Patterson reporting for us. Any observations, and what's the next step there, Jeff? Where are you heading?
Well, we're going to keep an eye on things as they develop. Right now, we are not heading down to Sarasota, where we're expecting landfall to occur sometime in the next 15 to 20 minutes with the initial landfall of the eye. We expect that the worst of it will be down in Sarasota, unfortunately, between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. And so we're just kind of making an observation here in Tampa. There was a great deal of concern as this storm was approaching that it might come straight up Tampa Bay. Not seeing that happen, and unfortunately for the people who live south of here, it looks like the worst of it may be down in Sarasota and south of there. So we will continue to monitor the conditions as they evolve.
Just because I'm curious, Jeff, how are you monitoring conditions? And I have Justin in here as well if you need any kind of an update, or if there's any questions, so that we can keep you safe and point you in the right direction. But are you listening to updates in any capacity? Do you have anything up on your phone? What are you using to stay informed?
I have apps on my phone, as you can imagine, JB, a variety of apps on my phone that I am monitoring. Plus, we have the assistance from our news desk and others, who are out in this storm, kind of observing things. I have a friend who lives in southern Hillsborough County, and was just texting with him about what the conditions were. At one point, it looked like the storm would be going well south of him. He's now concerned, because he's keeping an eye on the wobble tracker too, that the storm might be headed more northerly now. So it's kind of a minute-by-minute thing that we're keeping an eye on here to observe the conditions so that we can react accordingly.
Jeff Patterson, Joey Capistrand, be safe out there. We'll monitor your progress in the Max Defender 8 Storm vehicle. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to move on now to a live interview taking place. Let's listen in.
All of the people prepare, really taking caution and being really vigilant about the severity of this upcoming storm. So it's been very interesting to see how people have stayed calm, have taken care in terms of staying close to their home or staying in a close location where it's safe, as we are in a hotel. It's actually a ghost town right now. And I think that's a good thing because people have really taken caution and taken it seriously.
We like to see that. And when you were driving around, even yesterday, you saw gas stations out of gas. You saw people preparing. Talk to me about that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everybody was just making sure that they had enough gas to get to their ultimate end destination. And stores were closing early. We were cognizant of the schedule when stores would close so that we had a sufficient supply of food and necessities, medication, or whatever we need.
That is so smart, doing everything that you can. And we like to hear that. That's what people should be doing right now. We know that Milton is about to make landfall very soon. How are you doing? I know that this is taking an emotional toll on everyone. How are you doing?
Yeah. Well, we're staying in a very good hotel, and everybody's sort of coming together. It's like family. Everyone's talking to each other, trying to keep people calm. And some people are in a much more serious situation. They left their homes behind. Some of them have already had damage from Helene. So, trying to support each other, be more comforting to everyone so that we all work together and be safe together.
Thank you. And we've been reporting on the aftermath of Helene. We've been seeing those massive debris piles. People have been gutting their homes. They're in that process of starting over, rebuilding, and now Milton. It is beyond devastating. Is that what you've noticed?
Oh, absolutely. It's just so frightening and traumatic for so many families who've made their lives here, who have families here, their pets, all of their belongings, and there's so much destruction that has happened already, and now this is imminently going to be probably one of the strongest storms we've had in quite a long time. It's really record-setting, I think.
And to be here, I know that we're inland, but we know that that coast, I mean, it's such a special place here in Manatee County.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful place, and people love coming to the coast, the Gulf Coast, the beautiful beaches that we have, and I hope that someday, everyone will work together and try to rebuild, because it is so devastating to have the third storm in such a short amount of time. So we'll just have to stay positive and, hope for the best.
Ida, thank you so much for your time. I'm so appreciative, and thank you for being a longtime Channel 8 viewer. So thank you for your time. So we just got off the phone with Manatee County officials. We also know that 11,000 people evacuated their homes. They're taking advantage of the 16 open shelters here in the county, which is great news. People are heeding those warnings and listening to those officials. So we'll be out here monitoring the conditions. Of course, this wind is picking up, but for now, reporting live in Manatee County, Brittany Muller, 8 on your side.
Brittany reporting for us there in the elements and doing a live interview. Justin Mosley, WSNN chief meteorologist, joining us here on Tracking the Tropics. This is live radar getting updated here on the center of your screen. I want everyone to pay attention. It's, you know what? I'll go full screen because you can see it a little bit better here, Justin. Does everybody see the very small white symbols that are popping up on the north side of the storm? Those are lightning strikes. And of course, as you would expect, Justin, on the north side of the storm where the precipitation and the activity is heaviest, we're getting a lot of lightning in that area as well.
Yeah, a lot of updrafts around the eye wall, and that really speaks to the intensity of the eye wall itself. In general, you don't see a whole lot of lightning with a hurricane. A lot of the energy is kind of dispersed or displaced throughout the entirety of the storm, so you don't have a whole lot of updrafts to kind of get those charge separations. So when we do see it, it jumps out at us, that's for sure, and we are watching that eye wall approaching the coast. I was just looking at the report from the Hurricane Center, and the hurricane force winds, that's winds of 74 miles per hour or greater, extend 35 miles out from the storm center. That's the eye that you see rotating around. We've measured that eye here in the Max Defender 8 Weather Center to be about 60 miles in diameter. The tropical storm force winds extend out 255 miles from the center point of the storm. So much of the area right now dealing with tropical storm force wind gusts, that's 40 miles per hour up to about 74. with the core of those hurricane force winds still offshore, still waiting to come ashore of Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key, Sarasota, and up into Pinellas and Hillsborough County. So we still have a long way to go. I know weather conditions are rough out there right now, but just stay with us. We're continuing to broadcast here as well as on WFLA and giving you the latest information as everybody hunkers down. But again, it's going to be critical, JB, where the storm makes landfall. The National Hurricane Center, with the latest update as of 5 o'clock, adjusting the track a little further to the north throughout Manatee counties. That window of possible movement, or the forecast cone, does include Hillsborough and Pinellas. So that's something we're going to be watching very closely over the next several hours with our Wobble Tracker.
There it is. And as we look here at Wobble Tracker, it does not appear, barring a massive wobble north, which is, per the cone, absolutely still possible. But barring a massive, push north, the surge, that counterclockwise motion, will not lead to worst case scenario impacts for Tampa Bay.
It would be very difficult to do that.
Yeah, at this stage, this late.
Yes, because of the circulation that you mentioned. So even if the storm kind of wanders over the bay, what has to happen, you have to change the wind direction around to the south and west to push water up into the bay. In order for that to happen, the storm center needs to be either to your west or to your north. And it's going to be difficult for it to gain that type of latitude. So we'll be monitoring it over the next several hours. And again, that cone that you don't see on the screen here does include Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. But even if it did jog a little further to the north, I think that surge would still be southern portions of Pinellas County into northern Manatee County, where we'll be able to monitor it minute by minute with that camera in Bradenton there, overlooking the Manatee River.
All right, so quick programming note. We were talking about this a little bit earlier on. I can confidently look into the camera and say that the Stream Center is going to be staying online for as long as possible. Basically, what I'm saying is that we are not going to be going to the Wesley Chapel backup location that WFLA has set up unless we lose power, unless we have a drastic change of events. So somewhere out there on X or on Twitter, someone's got that Leonardo DiCaprio, GIF. I'm not leaving. Yeah, we're not leaving. We're staying. We're staying here with you on the stream across all platforms. So we can confidently look into the camera now and say that. And we are in this for the long haul. Yes. We lose power, things change. We might try to get out, but right now, lights are on in the Stream Center. Microphone.
We're working hard.
Microphone's working.
Yes.
We're staying.
And we're very thankful to all of our viewers that are watching us. It does mean a lot to know that people are depending upon you, and it keeps us going, that's for sure. And we want to take a second to thank everybody for joining us here as we watch this major hurricane here. Time now is 5:25, and it is closing in on the Tampa Bay area. Southern areas bearing the brunt of the storm first. So again, Manatee, Sarasota counties, Bradenton, Sarasota, Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island, inland to Lakewood Ranch will take this storm sooner than Tampa and St. Petersburg, closer to the core. So again, those winds of 120 miles per hour still sitting offshore. They extend out, I believe, 35 miles was a report from the National Hurricane Center from the eye. The eye right now being measured at about 60 miles in diameter. And again, the tropical storm force winds, 40 mile per hour winds or greater, extending out 255 miles from the storm center. So a lot of our region starting to deal with the brunt of the storm is just starting to happen across our area. We've been looking at different cameras from the Skyway Bridge. We have one from Bradenton, as I mentioned, and at one point, I'm sure we'll be able to get our WFLA tower.
This might be. This is from the White House. We might be getting a special address from the President of the United States. We'll monitor that. Also, right now online, the backup location.
A little bit further to the north because the storm was.
Backup location.
shifted to the north, but the key is it is still south of Tampa Bay itself.
Right.
And if it stays to the south, it will continue to push water out of Tampa Bay.
Wow, some signal breakup here. Now this is, I believe,
to make sure this thing stays on track, because if it keeps going north, then the potential of that storm surge in Tampa Bay is there.
But based on speed and how fast this thing is, it's a Cat 3 at this point, is that right?
Right.
And tracking the timing of it, does it have enough oomph to get up to reverse that trend, bring water back into the bay?
I mean, it's got enough time to at least move off to the east, which would be a lot better for us, or it could keep tracking to the north. So that's when we'll really know.
All right, so what we're doing here is we're actually checking in with our friends in the lobby. We have a lot of evacuees in this hotel. Their spirits are very, very good at...
Shot died.
The shot died.
Wow. They went away from them. The signal was breaking up so much on air that our News Channel 8 team, the control room went away from them, and Josh and Eric clearly quite confused in that moment. I believe that's either coming in via satellite or that's coming in via microwave live truck, or microwave signal from one place, from one point to another, from Tampa to Wesley Chapel. And regardless, whatever technology breakdowns are going to occur, that's why I'm hoping that the Stream Center stays online. During Helene coverage, every room at WFLA went dark except the Stream Center. We were the last room with lights on literally in the entire building, Justin.
Yeah.
So
I remember watching that.
hope we do not lose power. Hope that we stay on, and hope that the lights are going to be bright and allow us to do our jobs here for you on stream.
That's right.
A look at the real-time wobble tracker, latest scans. Let's see what we got. 520, I believe, coming in here. So what are we seeing on wobble tracker?
Okay, so we're looking at the storm motion still northeast at 17 miles per hour, and it's not. It appears to be following that line in the last couple of frames, and I hesitate because we really need several frames to be able to really make a call on this. But as we can see with the last few frames, the center of circulation is following that line pretty well. Now, it's interesting. I was just talking to Jeff Baradelli about if you look at the radar, at the beginning of this loop, it looked like you had a tight little eye, right? And that may be a mid-level circulation in there. And there's a broader circulation, which is the actual eye wall, and it's undergoing some shearing in the atmosphere. That's from the trough that we've all been talking about, and it may be helping to tilt the storm. So there's some radar interpretation there that you have to kind of have some skill and be trained to kind of know what you're looking at. But the broader picture there is what we think is the eye wall of this storm, and it's very large. 60 miles is what Jeff Baradelli measured it at. As it travels to the north and east. All right, JB, what we got?
Live cameras. This is the Tampa skyline on the right. I mean, back there somewhere. I mean, behind all that, all the incoming precipitation.
Is that from our WFLA tower cam?
No, well, top left is. And let's actually showcase, if we can, the tower camera. There it is.
Yeah, wow.
And
visibility greatly reduced as these bands come through. In the distance, you could see Amalie Arena, home to where the Tampa Bay Lightning play. And we can see that conditions are definitely going downhill in the metro of Tampa as these bands that we mentioned earlier are becoming a lot more frequent, and we're getting into what we term the rain shield from this hurricane, meaning that the steady rain is going to keep up. All right, this is looking over the.
Oh wow. Okay.
Skyway Bridge.
Does anybody else see it? I'll give the chat a moment to see if you can see what I see. Yeah, I'll just I'll share with our audience. I don't know if you catch it, Justin, but wow, look at that. So what do you notice about the waves on the right side of your screen from the Sunshine Skyway Bridge? They're not moving. That's because this freeze frame on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, I believe that this camera has stopped transmitting.
Ah, goodness. I mean, what we saw earlier, that would support that.
There's no movement on the right, folks.
It was starting to shake around pretty good. And the wave action, yeah, I've been here for quite a bit of time. I've never seen that type of wave action from a camera, in Tampa Bay like that. It's
I wish that
stuff.
the text had a timestamp so we could know when this froze.
Last frame was, yeah.
But this is not live. This was the last image from this camera. And so Wobble Tracker just updated. You saw it there in the bottom left. Let's go to it. 5:30 Eastern time. This is the new scan and absolutely Eastern movement. No doubt. You see it.
Yes.
And the eye wall expanding. You said 60 miles earlier?
60 miles in diameter.
I would imagine it's growing beyond 60 miles now. You can see it widening. And of course, this was largely expected. Pun not intended.
Yes, as the storm moves north and is encountering the upper-level jet stream winds, it is broadening out. The wind field is expanding, and it's just kind of the physics of what happens with a poleward or northward moving storm. This is also helping to bring in that eye wall into places like Longboat Key and Anna Maria Island. Some of the worst of this storm right now is occurring in Manatee and Sarasota counties, at the coast and at the beaches. So this is going to continue to spread inland. Bradenton, Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, all are going to bore the brunt of this in the next hour or so.
Folks, we are going to fly through the latest. And I got something stuck in my throat here for a second.
Okay, I'll try to take it away for 1 second, Justin. Let's see if I can read this. We're looking at some video that is coming in.
I'm good.
Okay, he got a bottle of water and quick swig helps, right?
We're in good shape.
Okay.
Trying to do a lot simultaneously here, everybody. So, all right, report it. We're going to run through these as quickly as can be to get through as many submissions. These are photos and videos coming into our website, wfla.com/report it. Please send them in safely and responsibly. Do not put yourself in harm's way to send in a photo or a video to capture something on your phone. It is just not worth it. This is Nick in St. Petersburg. Next up, we have Judy sending this in from Lakeland, Florida. Cindy Lane showing flooding in or near her property. We've got Mo sending this in from St. Pete, Florida. Here we have Kyle, Plant City. Next up, we have James in Jensen Beach.
It's Martin County on the East Coast, and man, look at that sky there.
Yeah, no rainfall yet, but that's going to change. Nick in Palm Harbor. Things really whipping in Palm Harbor as of 4:50 p.m. Next up, Paul.
4 o'clock.
Lutz, Florida. Next up, we've got what is this? Cindy says Sarasota County Flatbush Avenue, because the county failed to clean the ditches in the back and along the side of the house. This is how water sits so far without the storm. He's proving a point. That's what the point of Cindy's video is, that the water is so deep that he can cast a fishing line. The President of the United States is speaking. Let's listen in here live on Tracking the Tropics.
Now, I want to reiterate a point I made clear earlier today to the folks who have been impacted by Helene. This impact, and will be now impacted by Milton. Over the last few weeks, there's been a reckless and irresponsible and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies about what's going on. It's undermining confidence in the people of Florida, and incredible rescue and recovery work that has been undertaken. Literally, there are thousands of fellow Americans who are putting their lives at stake and putting on the line to do the dangerous work that needs to be done now. And it's harmful to those who most need the help. Quite frankly, these lies are un-American, and there is simply no place for them. Not now, not ever. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. It's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That is simply not true either. They're saying that money needed for these crises are being diverted to migrants. What the heck are they talking about? Stop it. It's outrageous. It's just not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop. Let me close with this. As difficult as these days and weeks have been, we've seen incredible courage by so many of our fellow Americans. I want to thank all the first responders for running toward danger instead of away from it, for saving lives and making a difference. FEMA personnel risking their lives, climbing on hillsides to reach people cut off by Helena. Army National Guard flying through the gale wind force that it's amazing what they're doing. Firefighters lifting collapsed wood and metal in an attempt to see if there are survivors, any survivors under the debris, risking their lives. Coast Guard teams rappelling from helicopters to rescue people and risking their own lives. There are countless friends and neighbors who have sacrificed for the greater good. Volunteers leaving their own families behind to help search for someone else's family. Fellow Americans looking out for one another. That's America at its very best. That's who we are. So my final message tonight is to the people of Florida and all the impacted states. We've got your back. We've got your back. And Kamala and I will be there for as long as it takes to rescue, recover, and rebuild. May God bless you all, and may God protect those serving in the eye of this storm on behalf of our nation. Thank you.
Why do you think Trump is spreading misinformation? Why do you think Trump is...
Okay, a lot of, well, you know what? We're going to stay here with our coverage of the storm. This is a critical hour. There's going to be a lot of questions that are asked to President Biden. He is staying at the podium. We're streaming the press conference on WFLA.com. You can watch it there. We have it for you. But we are, this could, I don't know what the back and forth exchange in the aftermath of that is going to be. President Biden looking into the camera and saying that he is supporting the people of Florida. He says that the White House and the current administration, they're backing the people of Florida. Let's go back to the coverage at hand, because this is a critical hour, Justin, as we're monitoring real-time updates on the real-time wobble tracker.
That's right. And we see the center of the storm at last report, and we're getting hourly reports now from the National Hurricane Center. At last report, 60 miles southwest of downtown Sarasota. I can tell you by looking at our Max Defender radar, and you're watching this with us at home as well, that red band that you see is a part of the northern eye wall, which is battering Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key, and Sarasota. And it extends about as far east as the Tamiami Trail, which is known as Tamiami Trail, which is US 41 down there. And it's going to continue to work its way further to the east over Lakewood Ranch Parish. And now this is getting into Hillsborough County. So again, around Ruskin, Sun City Center, the Big Bend of our area, Gibsonton, Apollo Beach. Weather is very rough right now, and it will only get worse from here as the core is now beginning to impact the greater Tampa Bay area. Again, the worst down around Manatee and coastal sections of Sarasota at this point in time.
Yeah, to echo what Justin's talking about, look at the oranges and reds approaching Bradenton into southern Tampa Bay itself. I mean, even some dark reds between Bradenton and Sarasota. I mean, that's really, I think, like Longboat Key, that area.
Yes.
Probably getting some really...
Getting battered right now on Longboat Key up to about Anna Maria Island. So the cities of Holmes Beach, city of Bradenton Beach, around Cortez, also around, as you work your way down towards Whitney Beach on Longboat Key, those are the areas of concern. Bayshore Gardens, Talavast, Whitfield, you know what I'm talking about. We're here watching for you as well. I know we have a lot of viewers down there, and that's why we're here working the storm from a safe location. Our studios are in downtown Sarasota, and we made the call on this to protect our our employees of the television station to come up here to Tampa. We're all a Nexstar family, which is critical. in moments like this, and we all work together. And I have to thank our parent company, Nexstar, as well as WFLA, for allowing us to get that message out to our viewers in Manatee, Sarasota, down into Charlotte and DeSoto counties, as this storm is impacting the entire region. We're all caught in this together, and we won't leave you as this storm continues to move into the Tampa Bay area. And it's going to be a rough go of it, JB. I'd like to stress to folks that maybe have never experienced a hurricane. Here we are getting closer to nightfall, and the core of this storm is going to be moving in. It is going to be a scary event. There's going to be a lot of rattling of the windows. A lot of folks have storm shutters up or plywood to protect themselves from the strong winds. It's going to be a rough night, but we're in this together, and we're going to stay here and continue to broadcast and stream the information to you as we're all in this together as the storm kind of travels inland across the state.
Event canceled. Tornado watch, Hardy, DeSoto, and Highlands County. The watch is canceled, meaning
Correct.
That things are beginning to clear up there from a tornado perspective, which is encouraging news that from Southwest Florida, from that region, things are beginning to improve. Probably not completely out of it just yet, but
yes,
things
it's
are
heading
getting
in that
better.
direction. If you split up a hurricane, many times you may have heard us talk about the different quadrants. So the northeast quadrant or right front quadrant is the strongest portion of the storm. It also is the portion of the storm that contains the most tornadic activity. A few hours ago, that area you just mentioned was going through it with tornado warning after tornado warning because they were positioned in that northeast quadrant. The storm is moving along as scheduled. Motion northeast at 17 at last report, and it's seeing some dry air intrusion on the south side. That's why you don't see those radar echoes with our reflectivity as much on the southern side. It also goes to show you those quadrants are working out the way they should. The southeast and southern and southwest quadrant just not conducive for tornadic development as much. So we're not seeing the type of tornado warnings, and now the Storm Prediction Center allowing that watch, meaning the conditions are favorable to expire in those southern areas. But they'll maintain it for the Tampa Bay area, inland to Polk County, and throughout Central Florida, Orlando, Daytona Beach, and the Space Coast.
At this point, you know, there are a couple things that make me nervous. You know what makes me nervous? Construction cranes. They make me nervous. This one coming into WFLA.com/report it. If you're going to send in photos and videos, do so safely, responsibly. Do not put yourself in harm's way. Brian says this comes from Top Golf in St. Pete. And I swear this just...
It's eerie.
It's eerie, and it gives me that tingly feeling down my spine that you hope that one of these don't come down in hurricane or tropical storm force.
The idea with this, JB, they unhinge those cranes like that so that they can spin around in the wind and create less resistance. If it's locked down, there's a higher probability of it tumbling.
It's going to come
down. But watching it, that's a different thing.
It doesn't give me that good
warm,
feeling.
cozy, safe, secure feeling. That's for sure.
Not at all. Moving on WFLA.com/report it. Let's get to some of the photos, videos coming in. This is from Kathy, and it doesn't have a location. If you're going to send in photos and videos, you guys, please let us know where it is. That's like one of the most important things. You can be as specific as possible. Timestamps and locations are really big, but for what it's worth, this is Kathy's backyard, and it's
filling up with water.
Underwater, no doubt. All right, this is a big down tree from Juan in Sefner.
Okay, so this is going to be a big concern. Let's hang on this for a second.
It's on a power line.
Yes, that's where I'm headed with this. So we have a lot of saturated ground across the entire Bay Area. This has been an extremely wet summer, as we know, and we've had storm after storm. Now this one is moving in. The ground is saturated, and you have these very old oak trees and other trees where you get a quick wind gust to come through over saturated ground, and we're starting to see these trees fall inside of these intense rain bands that you're seeing on our Max Defender 8 Doppler radar. So at this point, power outages are going to become a big concern across that swath of Manatee, Sarasota, Pinellas, Hillsborough, and into Polk County. So it's important to spread the word about what we're doing here in the digital center. have your, your devices charged up so you can continue to get the information and see exactly what is going on. Because I tell you, I've been through many a storm in my life here in Florida. Native Floridian, grew up in Vero Beach, seen my fair share. If you're in the dark, you don't have power, and you don't hear or see the information, it is extremely frightening. So we are going to be here and continue to broadcast and stream to get you through this storm. We will not leave you. And it's important to know to charge up your devices right now while you still have power, because we are starting to see those trees go down, which will quickly cause power to go out across a good portion of the Bay Area.
Getting in one last charge on my phone. A reminder.
Very good idea, G.
Yeah. You got a charger over there? You got something?
I do, actually. I will go ahead and do that.
There's you got there's power over there. Feel free to use it.
You got a great setup here, by the way. This is really cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Justin joining us here, everybody. Chief Meteorologist, WSNN, coming up north from Sarasota to Tampa. I hope your station's okay, and I hope that everything, your home, family, if they're in the area, everybody, I hope everyone's okay.
Yes, we're all in this together. I like to stress that as well. We're one big family, across the Tampa Bay area in moments like this, because we're broadcasting to you. We're in a safe location, but I was putting up storm shutters and sandbagging my home down in Sarasota 24 hours ago. So I know what it's like. It's stressful. I like to tell people to also take a breather. Hopefully at this point in time, everybody is just kind of hunkered down and the work is behind you, and we're just going to ride the storm out. But it can be very mentally taxing, and your mental health is extremely important in moments like this. So let's just take a minute, take a breather. We're all in this together, and we're going to get through it together as well. I know. Very
Got
good.
this,
There's
folks.
that Zen, JB.
Zen.
Yes.
Moment of Zen. I encourage everybody out there. I'm not even kidding. Just take a moment. Take an enormous inhale.
Yes.
You'll feel better, I promise. Back here with you in the Stream Center. The Yoga Center is going to be the nickname eventually if we continue to do breathing exercises. Let's get back to the coverage at hand. As we look here at Max Fender 8 radar, I want to point out something that is astute observation from Justin. We are getting into real power outage territory. And I want to mention, we didn't lose power here until hours after Helene was well north of Tampa Bay. Helene was up in the, basically east of Tallahassee in the Big Bend when we lost power. So the storm moving inland will cause rolling power outages, of course. But if the storm enters the greater Orlando area and you think, oh, we made it, we didn't lose power, do not relax yet. Power outages can occur even in the aftermath of a storm.
There's a backside of the storm.
That's right.
A lot of it you may not see on our radar because of some dry air, but the winds will remain elevated for tonight. It will be gusty all night long. We're on the forward side, which is the strongest portion of the storm that is moving into the Bay Area right now as we speak. And this is the evidence of it as JB pulls this back up as we work the storm together. Look at this old tree that is just on top of the power lines. It's also over a roadway, which obstructs a vehicle to try to get into, to fix that power line. So this is a process that's going to be playing out all across the Tampa Bay area and across Central Florida, southward along the Sun Coast as well. This is from Lutz, right?
Lutz, Heather sending this in to WFO.com/reported saying rain coming in across the lake. So this is not all water that has pooled as a result of Milton. This is all water that was, look, this is a lake is what you're looking at is what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
Next up, thank you, Heather, for sending that in. Next up, we have
intense rain in Lithia, Florida.
This is from Preeti, Lithia, 5:15 p.m.
Neighbors' yards fill up with water. Intense.
Next up, thank you, Preeti. Kelsey showing flooding on Strema Road, Largo, Florida, downtown Largo to be more precise. Thank you for being specific. Really do appreciate it, Kelsey. Also coming in right now, Kevin from Vero Beach. Oh yeah, the waters are rising and are going to start to take cars.
That's my hometown.
Down. Yeah.
Vero Beach, East Coast, that is known as a treasure coast over there. And they've been dealing with band after band. I've seen tornado warning after tornado warning earlier today along the treasure coast. And that water is just incredible. And again, you don't want to venture into water of unknown depth. Turn around, don't drown. That's the National Weather Service message to everyone. And this is a scene that you're going to see across a good portion of the state of Florida as Milton cuts across and heads towards the East Coast tonight.
All right. Thank you to Kevin for sending this one in from Vero Beach. Moving on. I want to point out there have been people that have been tagging me in videos on Twitter. I can only use it if it's been sent into WFLA.com/report it. It also has to be a video that you took. If you screenshot or screen capture, it will not work. It's got to be your video that was shared to you. You have the of course, you have the rights to be able to basically send it to us and share it with us. So, screen recording off of Twitter or X. Yes, what you got? Yes, thank you. All right, so that note passed along by our executive producer, Nathaniel, saying that the conditions, if Jeff Patterson says conditions are deteriorating, he's not as dramatic as I am.
It carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, it means a lot coming from him. So Jeff apparently says that they are in the thick of it right now, and our team is trying to load him up as a shot. So
and that's understandable, judging by what we see with the Max Defender 8 radar. The downtown Tampa is really going through an intense band right now, and it's going to continue to progress to the north, and it is also affecting Pinellas County. This is one of the biggest and strongest bands that we've seen. Another shot, this is of a tornado in Royal Palm Beach.
Look at the resolution on this video. I'm going full screen with this so people can see it better. You can see rotation. Look at that. This is Anthony in Royal Palm Beach, Justin.
It's on the East Coast near West Palm Beach, to be familiar with that area. But yeah, well-defined tornado. This is almost textbook. You can see the wall cloud, which is that dark area that's kind of hanging. And then you have the actual funnel, what we call the condensation funnel, rotating around. You can see the winds feeding into the storm as well. Now, tropical tornadoes are typically brief. They're usually weak, EF0, as we say, and they're short-lived. As quickly as they develop, they can just kind of dissipate, which makes it very difficult to hop on TV and warn everyone. That's why the tornado watch that we're under is very critical in a moment like this. It's conditional or situational awareness that everybody should be in, because this can briefly happen just about anywhere within the tornado watch area. But my goodness, incredible shot from Royal Palm Beach.
Yeah, and this, if I have that correct, that's near Palm Beach.
That is correct. It's just to the
that's a far
west. Yes,
way away
it's
from
on the
here.
east coast of the state of Florida, in South Florida there. And it just shows you the breadth and depth of the storm and the far-reaching effects as Milton continues to expand its grips and wind field across the state of Florida. But that is really impressive. We saw these types of these images, I should say, in portions of Lake Okeechobee area near, I believe it was Clewiston. I saw a warning in Glades and Hendry County. So, yeah, crazy stuff earlier today.
All right, more submissions coming in, photos and videos to WFLA.com/report it. Please send in your photos from a safe location. Videos, do not put yourself in harm's way, folks. And I have to repeat myself over and over again. It's because we are always engaging a new digital audience. This is Cynthia from Riverview in Progress Village. Look at these wind gusts. Listen, how about, you know what? Even better, let's just listen. Yeah, so that's what it sounds like to be in a storm of this magnitude. And these are just wind gusts, but you can see the water racing across the parking lot. Significant impacts there. And I think that brings us to the end of the queue. So we'll get in more reported videos coming in. Let's check in with the real-time wobble tracker and look at the 5, 30, 40, and 50 scans. The eye wall expanding and expanding in an eastward direction. Towards
again, Sarasota, towards Bradenton. They are in the eye wall now. I feel confident to say that. And that is, unfortunately, some of the strongest portion of the storm. So again, Bradenton, Sarasota, Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island, Lakewood Ranch, Parrish, Duet. Those are the areas. Siesta Key, going through some of the worst of the storm right now. And there is the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center, which brings the center of this storm through portions of Hillsborough County and north and east of Polk County. So if you're watching us in Lakeland, Bartow, Winter Haven, this is headed in your direction, and we're going to stay with you throughout the duration. This is not just a coastal event. Now, we will watch the water level rise occurring before too long around Bradenton down into Sarasota. Judging by the radar echoes that I can see right now, they still have an offshore wind. Once those winds come around to the west or south, west, that's when we'll see the storm surge that we're so concerned about once again, I might add, for those places I just mentioned, like Anna Maria Island and Longboat Key, Siesta Key, Casey Key, and down to about Venice. So again, that's really the focus in our viewing area right now. We have extremely heavy squalls moving through downtown St. Petersburg with the wind directly off of the bay. It's unrestricted over Tampa Bay, moving into St. Pete, all the way out towards St. Pete Beach, including downtown Tampa. Now, we were, I believe, JB, trying to effort Jeff Patterson's shot, and I think we're still working on that. He's kind of
Jeff, I know you can hear us. We don't have your shot up at the moment. I'm getting our team to work on it because I know you're in the thick of it right now. We're trying to come your way, so stand by, Jeff. Things are pretty rough right now in Tampa.
Correct. And now because the storm is gaining some latitude and moving north, I don't want to forget about our viewers along the Nature Coast. We're talking about Pasco, Hernando, and up into Citrus counties. We've got a heavy band moving through Pasco County. So from the Suncoast Parkway inland towards Zephyr Hills, Dade City, also along the coastline, Newport Richey and Hudson, dealing with these bands as well. And as they come through, that's when your weather will go downhill and become a lot more squally. And the winds are going to pick up over Pasco and eventually northward towards Spring Hill, Weeki Wachee, and into Brooksville before too long. So the entirety of the viewing area is really starting to see the big impacts from Milton here. A little drier if you're watching out in Highlands County, Polk, and into Hardy and DeSoto counties. Not as much echoes on the Doppler radar right now. But again, the tropical storm force winds do extend inland. So if you're watching us in Sebring and Lake Placid, northward towards Lakeland, Winter Haven, also around Bartow, again, turbulent conditions, but the worst weather is coastal sections of Pinellas, spreading into Hillsborough, but by far the worst right now for our viewers in Manatee and Sarasota County. Very concerned because they are moving into that eye wall, as I mentioned, the strongest portion of the storm right now.
Yeah, and the surge is going to be the theme going forward at this point.
Exactly.
Again, here with Justin, JB here with you. Jeff, we're trying to get to, I think we now have Jeff Patterson. No, we don't. I thought I saw a shot on that source. I don't have it. Jeff, we're trying to find a home for your shot. Stand by. Trying to come your way as quickly as possible. Oh, no, wait. There he is. I got you, Jeff. We're loading you up. You're on. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hey, good evening, JB. Well, as you guys have been talking about, the conditions here are kind of deteriorating right now. We're on East Davis Boulevard, and I want you to take a look at this. The water is coming up, I'd say about a foot. And this is just from the intense rainfall that we've been having here in Tampa over the last several hours. This is not storm surge. I want to make that clear. Thankfully, we're not seeing it get into homes as it did during Hurricane Helene because the water has not risen to that level yet. But if you'll look behind me, just down Davis Boulevard, you can still see the damage, the debris from people hauling the things out of their homes that is still on the side of the street. And unfortunately now, if you look in the middle of East Davis Boulevard, some of that debris is starting to blow out into the street or even just to float out into the street because of the flooding that we are experiencing here. So I'm in front of Fire Station 17. Even the Tampa Fire Station suffered damage from Hurricane Helene. There is no one in here right now, no fire rescue units, no vehicles, no personnel because of the damage they suffered during Hurricane Helene. As you might be able to tell, the rain is coming down harder where we are right now. We saw some heavy bands of wind a short time ago, but we're now starting to see what Hurricane Milton is bringing to this area, and we fully understand that the worst part of this will probably be south of here. With the eye wall coming in over Sarasota, certainly they'll see more storm surge, but this is one of the things we've been keeping an eye out for all day long is where's the storm surge, how high is the water going to get here. Right now on East Davis Boulevard, this is just from the rain, and you can tell the ground is saturated here. It's been raining for hours. We've seen the wind ripping through some of the top of the trees, just some minor limb damage right now, nothing major. We haven't seen any trees topple that weren't toppled during Hurricane Helene, so we're keeping an eye on all of that too. But JB, you can tell it's not exactly a picnic out here on Davis Islands right now. The one thing I will be thankful for is that it seems that there is still power on the island and we are not seeing any people out here because people seem to have heeded the warnings and evacuated as it has been appropriate to do.
Jeff, this is Justin Mosley once again here with you. And question for you. You covered Helene. You're covering this storm, Milton, now. As far as timing is concerned, when you started covering Helene, did you see the same amount of water on the ground as you're seeing now with Milton or vice versa? Is this more of what you're seeing this early in the game, or would you say it's a little less?
Well, I was in Cedar Key, Justin, when Hurricane Helene brushed by. Keep in mind that storm, as you know, was 100 miles offshore. It went in just north of Cedar Key into Perry, and so we saw some of the worst winds there. I would say winds where I was standing in excess of 100 miles an hour, not seeing anything like that here. As you know, each one of these hurricanes, each one of these storms has kind of a different personality, a different manifestation, and so this one right now seems to be a rain event where we are here. South in Sarasota, when the eye wall comes on shore, it could be something entirely different. As you know, this storm has been very compact, the most intense winds around the center. I would compare it somewhat to Hurricane Charlie, although Charlie had different characteristics as well, but Hurricane Charlie was a very tight, very compact, very powerful hurricane, and that seems to be what Milton is. But you know, as we've seen the eye wall we've seen the eye wall exchange and things dissipate for a time, it's all a matter of timing as to when this storm makes landfall. I understand now it has been downgraded to a Category 3, still a very powerful and intense hurricane, but there was a time today when we were seeing it as a Category 5, a very strong Category 5. There was a lot of anxiety here in Tampa for where would this storm come on shore, where would the storm surge be. So far what we have seen out on the Bayshore is that the water was being drawn out, not pushed in. And so, you know, Tampa once again so far has fared very, very well. That isn't to say that there aren't people outside right now in the city of Tampa that are probably experiencing some great difficulty because of this storm. But when you talk about catastrophic wind damage from a Category 4 or Category 5, we haven't seen that in Tampa yet. Of course, as the evening progresses and we're able to get down into Sarasota later tonight or tomorrow, we may see that kind of intense catastrophic damage. Right now in Tampa, we're not seeing that.
So the winds so far, Jeff, that you're seeing out there doesn't look to be entirely too windy. You're in a squall, as we can see with the heavy amounts of rain, but as far as wind is concerned today, is this the strongest you've seen this afternoon into the evening?
I would say within about the last hour or so, the winds have picked up to about the strongest we have seen so far. Again, not the intense, powerful hurricane that we know Milton can be, so we're kind of on the outer edge here in Tampa. You know, you hate to say best case or worst case scenario because while it may be good for people in Tampa, it's not good for people in Sarasota. We fully understand that. You know, I've talked to some of my friends. There's almost, you know, this guilt feeling, if you will. You don't want to wish it further south because you don't want to wish it on your friends and neighbors and family who might be living further south. At the same time, if you live in Tampa, you're hoping to not suffer a direct hit. The best thing would be is if the wind shear kind of dissipates this storm as it makes landfall, and it's a less intense storm as it makes landfall and has a downgraded effect on everyone in its path. I know that we're going to be out surveying the damage tomorrow and the next day, and I know that we're going to see some of the more catastrophic effects of this. But right now in Tampa, even though the wind is definitely picking up behind me right now, we haven't seen major tree damage or tree destruction. We've seen some downed limbs, but frankly, there's more debris from down tree limbs that are on the side of the road from Hurricane Helene than we have seen falling from the trees during Hurricane Milton.
Jeff, we'll let you get back to, of course, your myriad of responsibilities. Please be safe. But before we do, we like to leave our reporters calling in with any information. Justin, you're looking there at Max Fender 8 radar. Can we provide Jeff with an idea as to what to expect in the minutes ahead?
Yeah, so you're in a squall right now, Jeff, as you know, with the rain falling, and the breeze is certainly there, but weather conditions are going to continue to deteriorate as far as strong winds are concerned for Tampa proper here. And we're kind of zoomed into the water there, and my goodness, what do we got there? Is it some bubbling going on behind you?
So that's one of the hazards of driving around here, is that this water's coming up from the manholes from the storm sewer. And so when the pressure becomes so intense underground, it shoots up. We've actually seen manhole covers in other instances, not today. We've seen manhole covers blow out of their setting. And so when you're driving around, it's something you really have to be cognizant of to keep an eye out for things like that. It's why we advise people don't drive out into these conditions, because what we're seeing is the storm debris with wood and nails come out into the road. And then you see these manhole covers kind of lifting up, and it can become a very dangerous situation. The one thing I would ask Justin right now is, when will we see things start to decline? When will we see that we are finally out of the storm here in Tampa?
Okay, so that's an excellent question. What we're following, Jeff, is that eye on the wobble tracker that you've heard us talk about, and it looks like the storm is going to go somewhere between Sarasota and Bradenton. So the eye wall is going to be battering Tampa for the next several hours here. I think it's really going to take until 9, 10, 11 o'clock, somewhere in that window, before things begin to kind of begin to abate in Tampa itself. But you're just starting out with the rain bands and the squalls that are going to be more persistent, as the strongest portion of the storm will be moving over you, I'd say, in the next 2 hours or so.
Very good.
It's already
Thank you.
begun
That's good
in
information
Sarasota.
to have out here.
Yeah, it's already begun down to your south. A lot worse conditions, as you mentioned, for Sarasota and Bradenton, looking at our Max Defender radar. But it's nothing to sneeze at in Pinellas County, but Tampa, still, the worst is still yet to come.
Very good. Understood.
Jeff Patterson, Joey Capistrand, be safe out there, my friends. Be well, and perhaps we'll check in with you guys later. All right, let's bring back in Wobble Tracker. And guys, look at the latest few frames. Watch that movement.
It's a wobble off to the east. And again, the National Hurricane Center maintaining their forecast track there, which has been working out nicely, I might add.
The National Hurricane Center deserves a moment of just some credit, because look, this was a track that was at one point going through, we didn't know if this was really going to have that storm surge scenario 1 potential. And, the line was going through to the south of Tampa Bay. And if these wobbles are to be believed, and if this is accurate, then the storm surge in that counterclockwise direction would mostly miss Tampa Bay. Now, it's awful news for our friends to the south. It is terrible news for the Manatee and Sarasota County beaches all the way through down to Venice. Storm surge is going to be washing up on those barrier islands. It is going to be just beyond terrible. But
it's a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe.
It
really.
is. After Helene,
Yeah.
I made a boxing reference yesterday, Justin. I said that Helene, being 100 miles off of the coast of Tampa Bay, was the jab, and this is the uppercut to the chin, and for that area. And so Tampa Bay might not have that scenario where an unsurvivable amount of storm surge is rushing in and plowing through downtown Tampa, Davis Islands, MacDill Air Force Base, and causing that storm surge that we have so long feared. But that storm surge is going to be impacting from Bradenton basically all the way down through the barrier islands of Sarasota County.
Absolutely, and we're starting to see that happen right now, unfortunately, JB. That core, or the eye wall that I've been speaking so much about as of late, and we'll continue to do so because it's now moving ashore of these areas that we were really fearful of that storm surge with. So Bradenton in the eye wall right now, Sarasota in the eye wall, the northeast quadrant. So the strongest wind gusts will be coming out of that area, and we'll go and check on those winds here before too long to see exactly what it is going on. But you can see with that last frame that little jog to the west, or to the east, excuse me, is holding with that track from the National Hurricane Center. I like to say no one on the planet does it better than them. I mean, they look at this stuff day in and day out, year round, and they are nailing it with this track forecast, which we know has gotten so accurate as of late. The intensity forecast, there is still some room for improvement there, but they've done an excellent job with maintaining this storm with its forecast, moving it into portions of Manatee and Sarasota counties tonight.
All right. I don't believe that we've gotten this far without taking questions. It's been a long time since we've taken questions, but it's time to do so. Hashtag Hey Justin, hashtag Hey JB to ask your question here on Tracking the Tropics interactively. Whitney, hashtags Hey JB and Justin. Is the storm breaking up? So many people keep saying that it is.
So the storm is undergoing a weakening process, and it's due to a few things. It is entraining some drier air aloft on the south side, and you can see that by that open nature of the radar returns that we see. It is also undergoing a bit of shearing in the upper atmosphere with this strong winds aloft that are picking the storm up and moving it northeast into the Bay Area and the Suncoast and across central Florida also is shearing the storm a bit. So you put all that together, the intensity is coming down with the storm. There's land interaction. We're getting close to closer, I should say, to a landfall. And yes, the storm is weakening, but still a major hurricane. You have to keep that in mind. This is a Category 3 storm moving ashore in Manatee up into Sarasota and the Tampa Bay region.
All right, next up. So Callie Direct on YouTube Live says, JB, it looks like they're getting the worst right now. Can you explain how it gets worse from here? They are getting storm surge on the Manatee County and Sarasota County beaches, Justin, but the storm surge impacts are not ending now. They're going to continue through the storm passing through the area.
Yes, because of the circulation about the storm. So as it moves onshore, our wind direction is going to shift onshore. Okay, so that water is going to be driven up against the coast with hurricane force winds. And that's one of the reasons we're going to see that water level rise. Now, fortunately, this doesn't appear, at least for Tampa Bay, to be coming in during the period of high tide, which would work to exacerbate the conditions that we're already looking at in the forecast. But nothing to sneeze at here. There's going to be a tremendous amount of damage along that Manatee-Sarasota County coastline and maybe as far north as the mouth of Tampa Bay. Again, that remains to be seen, just how far the storm can jog off to the north. But more than likely, I think with each passing hour, Tampa Bay will be spared from the tremendous amount of storm surge that we were so fearful of.
The show goes on, SCM. Will you stay on air during landfall?
We're not going to leave you.
We will not leave you.
We are here for you, and we will not leave the air for the duration of the storm to keep everybody ahead and to keep everybody informed and let everybody know that they are not alone in this storm. Even if you're there in your home, you got your shutters up, we are here for you to walk you through this storm.
I'll say this. If we see a power outage occur at WFLA, believe me, you'll hear me talk about it. Whether the newsroom goes out and we lose power out there, or if the generator kicks on or battery backup kicks on, if we are on backup power in any capacity, I'll tell you so that people know that we've lost power and we've had to reserve to backup power. But it's interesting because it would be really interesting, a twist, if you will, if we lost power during Helene, but we stayed on during Milton. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm probably getting ahead of myself. We're going to stay on for you. The show goes on. We will stay on with you as long as we can. We're not leaving. Okay, back to this one. The nameless one. Okay. Hashtags versus both. Can you give an update on Newport Richey?
Okay.
I mean, Newport Richey, things have you're not staring at the worst of this. No way.
Correct. So Newport Richey, that is Pasco County along the Nature Coast, north of Tampa and Hillsborough County. As we look at the Max Defender radar, it's important to talk about the entirety of the viewing area, and I appreciate those types of questions. So there is Newport Richey on the map. You can see the bands that are moving through there. Tropical storm force winds likely happening in Newport Richey. As these bands do move through, that's when the winds can kick up even stronger. And rainfall is going to be a big concern because you're positioned on the north side of the storm. Let's watch this loop together. You can see the eye. And notice all that orange, all the red. It's been persistent as we look at this radar loop for Hillsborough, Pasco, and into Hernando counties. The big concern around Newport Richey will be flooding. So, again, hopefully you did any mitigation, that you have sandbags, things of that nature. You have to shelter in place at this point in time. But the thinking in that portion of the viewing area, 10, maybe up to 12 inches of rainfall when it comes to this particular storm, with higher totals embedded in that.
So looking in at the questions that are coming in literally at this moment, I do have Facebook up. Let's take some questions from Facebook too. And let's go to Stephanie. That's the first one I see on Facebook Live. Stephanie says, hashtag hey JB, hashtag hey Justin. What about the Nonasassa, Sefner, what they can expect in that region?
Okay, so that is inland sections of Hillsborough County. And again, much like what I mentioned for Pasco, you're dealing with these bands that are moving through as we speak. The rain is heavy. We saw our shot in Tampa from Jeff Patterson 10 minutes ago at this point in time. Much of what you saw there is what you're dealing with in eastern portions of Hillsborough County. But as the night does progress, the eye of the storm will be tracking over or very close, or I should say the eye wall, which is the strongest portion of the storm, will be tracking closer or near or over you. So your winds may get up to hurricane force, that is 74 miles per hour or greater. And I think that's what you should plan for, you should brace for, in that portion of Hillsborough County and much of the Tampa Bay area.
All right, next up we have, let's see. I want to get to Valrico for Ivy. That's a big deal because we've had a few comments coming in from Valrico. Ivy, hashtag hey Justin, how bad is Valrico getting it?
So currently Valrico, as I look at the radar here, there are rain bands again moving through there. There are the oranges and yellows, and those colors represent the rainfall rates that the radar is able to detect. So we look at that many times on TV. You'll hear us as meteorologists talk about, rainfall rate of 2 to 3 inches per hour. So these rates are very high. The rainfall amounts are going to continue to add up. This radar image that you're seeing is it's in what we call tropical ZR. That's something with the National Weather Service. It's a mode in which they change the radar estimates because it's a tropical rain, and it changes the totals around a little bit. That's some meteorological jargon there, but the bottom line is it's raining in Valrico area, and weather conditions will continue to go downhill. Hurricane force conditions are expected there tonight.
A few more before we get back to WFLA.com/report it. Nikki, hashtags for both. Will downtown Ruskin be at risk from being hit by the eye? It's a great question.
It is an excellent question, and I think that it is at risk. You will be in the eye wall in Ruskin, and it's an interesting place because that's where the National Weather Service Tampa Bay is located. The radar site is located there as well, which might take a direct hit from Milton. It's in a fortified area, so hopefully we'll keep the NEXRAD radar, as it's called, there, or National Weather Service Doppler Radar 88D, up and running. And yes, you might get into the eye. If the eye continues on this track a little further to the east, like we're seeing now, you may not get into the eye itself. You may just stay in the eye wall, which would mean you would just be battered by winds for an extended period of time. Places like Sarasota may actually get a break, more than likely will get a break, when the eye moves over Sarasota. The winds will calm, the rain will come to pretty much an end, and you will be in the eye of the storm. And then there's going to be the back half of the hurricane to go through as it moves off to the northeast.
All right, next up, Red Diaz, hashtag KJB, is Winter Haven, Florida, going to be in the eye.
Okay. Winter Haven, Polk County, that is in central Florida, east of Tampa. Judging by what we see with the forecast track, Winter Haven may not get into the eye itself. You may be in the eye wall, meaning the strongest portion of the storm, again, battering you for maybe a few hours. So it's going to be a close call for Winter Haven. Again, that is north of Lake Wales. If you're familiar with central Florida there, it is just east of Lakeland, out in Polk County, south of that I-4 corridor.
All right, and let's get one more in. It's an important one. You know, Amber wants to know about Charlotte Harbor. Says, of course, her dad wouldn't leave, and he's there now.
Okay, so Charlotte Harbor, south of Venice and Inglewood there. You can see it on your screen where it says Gasparilla.
Yep.
That's Gasparilla Island. The storm surge is going to be highest at the point of landfall and points to the south. Now, obviously, Charlotte Harbor, excuse me, doing a lot of talking here. It's just south of that landfall point. So I do expect a water level rise and storm surge in Charlotte Harbor, but you're pretty far south from that point of landfall. So if you're up in the harbor, yes, storm surge will be an issue. Will it be catastrophic? More than likely not, if you're on the harbor there around Punta Gorda or Port Charlotte. So that's the best answer that we have at this point in time as we watch the radar trends and watch the buoy reports and see what the storm surge is doing there.
All right. Let's go to WFLA.com/report it. You know, I actually want to back up Report It really quickly and show some of the videos in case those that missed the two previous ones, because this one was significant. This was from Royal Palm Beach. Anthony sending in, really, I mean, this is a high-res video with rotation. You can see a well-defined tornado on Florida's east coast. And then we had this one coming in to showing just how bad things can get. Waiting for it to update. Actually, no. Okay, we're moving on to Marie in Plant City, Florida. Winds and trees moving.
Wow. Okay, so that's inland, again, Hillsborough County. This was from earlier where we were just dealing with tropical storm force winds. Now conditions are getting closer to hurricane force. Not there just yet because those hurricane force winds at last report from the National Hurricane Center with our 5 o'clock advisory. We will get an update in what we call an intermediate advisory at 8 p.m. And in between that, we're getting position updates. So they update exactly where the eye of the storm is located. But yeah, things are going to get a lot worse than what you just saw there in Plant City.
Wow. So that again from West Palm Beach, John sending this in. Let's listen. From Royal Palm Beach to West Palm Beach, this is Probably the same tornado, Justin. What would you say your confidence level is? It's the
Yeah,
same one.
more than likely that is the same tornado there in Palm Beach County. West Palm and Royal Palm very close together off of State Road 80 there. And again, judging by the video that I'm seeing, you can see the wall cloud, the condensation funnel, very similar to what we saw from the shot from Royal Palm Beach, just a different perspective.
We saw this one already from Marie. Let's continue onward and show, oh, wow, Wellington, Florida, tornado as a 5P. Let's listen.
Again, this is the same tornado.
Oh, it is the same area?
Yes.
Looks like we're just getting in right now. Yeah, it is. It is just dropping, and Justin's got the ability to bring up the track. Not.
That's you and I talking in the background
Earlier,
there.
yes.
Thank you. That's coming in from Batuhan in Wellington. Thank you for sending that in. Frida at 6:20 says this is from Sarasota.
As of right now. Ooh, it is pretty bad. All right, I gotta go inside.
Frida, yeah, thank you for being safe there and realizing the conditions were poor and going back inside. Please be safe. Do not put yourself. There could be debris flying in that air, folks. So please
very cautious.
Use caution with report it. Let's go to Jerry and Dunedin.
Really windy. Tree went down on the car, but at least it wasn't the house. Really strong winds, though. Dunedin, Florida, almost 6 p.m. Really windy. Tree went down on the car, but at least it wasn't the house.
Okay, so that was
Really
at 6
strong
p.m. in Dunedin, which was Pinellas County. And an east wind, offshore wind, any ponding that you see that is fresh water. And you can see the soils are saturated. So these trees, it doesn't take very much to get a tree to topple down over on a car or a vehicle or your home. So hopefully people, did what they could to kind of mitigate these concerns around our area, because we're going to see a lot more of this, JB, as the night plays out.
All right. Let's move on and show next. And Jerry, yeah, it looks like the car will be okay or can be repaired. And I am grateful it did not fall on your house. Mayaka State Park, Zachary in East Sarasota County.
It's always incredible to hear the roar of the wind associated with these tropical systems, and just to look out your window if you were able to do so earlier before this. We're headed towards sunset here, and with all the heavy rain, it's getting dark. But it just is that feeling, at a tropical cyclone is nearing or nearly over you. This is just a sampling of what we saw earlier today. We know from that area of Sarasota County how bad things are right now because they are in the eye wall of the storm.
Kathy sending this in to report it. Clear water near Curlew and 19, she says. Next up, Jaden in Safety Harbor, I believe. Says flooding here. Listen. So clearly you can see a lot of standing water there and looking out onto the street. Thank you for sending that one in. One more. This is Jaden. No, I'm sorry. That was Jaden. This is Carson and St. Pete. Says this is a baseball field doubled as a retention pond filling up quickly.
Wow. When you pulled that up, I almost thought it was a lake. But
then you see the baseball backstop.
Yeah, exactly. My goodness. St. Petersburg, so low lying, it's they're going to deal with a lot of water there. And when I say water, a lot of water just falling from the sky, fresh water from the rain. The rainfall totals really beginning to add up now at this hour across much of the Bay Area and the Nature Coast.
Gowery sending this one in from Lute, 6:27 p.m. Pasco County. This video was taken 4 minutes ago. Let's listen. Wow. So let me point out, clearly we are up to date in the queue. These are all videos that have come in the last 5 minutes. You can send in your videos to WFLA.com/reported. Please do so as safely and responsibly as possible. I don't care how many times I say it. I don't care if you're sick of hearing me say it. The bottom line is that if we're going to use people and their photos and videos, use people to send in stuff and display it on stream like this, it has to be done safely and responsibly. We encourage that you do so. Do not put yourself in harm's way, folks. One more that literally just came in 2 seconds ago. They're being hot loaded in. Let's go to this one. This one's coming in from Mark in Palmetto.
All right, Palmetto, Manatee County, where the eye of the storm will more than likely be making landfall. At some point, you may
Mark
get
says
into it.
in the comment, Justin, he says he's in the eastern eye wall now.
Yes. And that is accurate. He is. Not sure when this is taken, but I would expect the weather conditions in Palmetto to be a lot worse than what you're seeing there right now, judging by what we can see with the Max Defender radar. And at some point, we should get to that because that eye wall, you can see it. So Palmetto is very close to Bradenton, and it's just over the Manatee, north of the Manatee River. So if you're crossing the Hernando de Soto Bridge or the Green Bridge takes you into Palmetto, up into 8th Avenue there, it is tremendously strong wind that is going across that portion of Manatee County, and it is stretching inland. Lakewood Ranch, also as you work your way down towards the Concession, Panther Ridge area, if you're watching us out towards Saddlebag and Duet, and don't see a whole lot of radar echoes there over Sarasota proper, but we can tell that you're in that eye wall. It's breaking up, but certainly things are not good in Sarasota northward into Bradenton right now. And JB, if you have an opportunity to pull up the camera Pier 22 in Bradenton, that would certainly be helpful to illustrate what is going on down there in those southern communities. And we'll take a look at that. I know it's getting kind of dark, but yeah, the water is pretty high there in Manatee County. This is at Pier 22, downtown Bradenton as we look westbound. Yeah, the Whitecaps is a rough go of it across that portion of the viewing area.
All right. So I want to point out something else about Report It that can be helpful, folks. So here's the deal. We are now entering a stage of this where power outages are going to become a primary theme. And we would like for you to use Report It as a means to send in power outage information. If you are without power, show us. We've had people send in, selfie videos and stuff like that before, but this is different. We want to see exactly, where you're watching Tracking the Tropics from. But let us know that you've lost power in a certain area. We can use the YouTube chat to do that. That's a little bit less reliable, obviously, because it's just comments flying all over the place. But if you have lost power, shoot a picture, a video, something, send it to WFLA.com/reportit. Include your location and the approximate time that you lost power. We can start to put a picture together, pun not intended, of the power outages impacting the area. And we also have power outage information on WFLA.com. Yes, I see Josh in our comment section. There's the TECO outage map. Very helpful if you're a TECO customer. There's more than TECO. There's a lot of different power providers in the area. So TECO's one great resource, but there's other resources out there to let you know what the power outage situation right now is in Tampa. So please use WFLA.com/report, and we will share it with our audience in real time. Back to the Wobble Tracker, Justin.
There it is, Wobble Tracker on it, and the storm appears to me to be maybe even speeding up even further. And the eye is pretty broad and pretty ragged on the southern side due to the drier air intrusion that I did mention. Now, all the effects from this it continues to march northward. So we haven't talked a lot about our viewers along the Nature Coast. So again, Pasco, Hernando, up into Citrus County and into Levy. weather is going to continue to go downhill for you. Now, you may not get into the hurricane force winds north of Pasco County. So if you're watching tonight in Brooksville or Spring Hill or Weeki Wachee, along the coastline north of Chassahowitzka, all those areas there around Crystal River, you may not see hurricane force conditions, but tropical storm force winds will be felt as far north as our northern counties. And
Oh, we just got
an
alert coming in.
It's an extreme wind warning. This is for the eye wall that is beginning to move in to coastal communities. And I fully expected this. Didn't expect that alert to come off on our broadcast. But again, and I'm sure you probably are getting this information at home as well if you're in this Tampa Bay area. This is issued for the eye wall of the storm that I've been just hammering away talking about. This is it. The storm is moving in now. Bradenton, Tampa, Clearwater, and St. Pete. You're in the northern eye wall of the storm. So now is the time to really hunker down as this storm is moving ashore. You need to think about that safe place that we tell you about during a tornado warning, an interior room, a bathroom, a closet, a hallway, anywhere away from the windows. The idea with that is to keep as many walls between you and the outside. But now is the time. This is the storm that is moving in as we speak with that eye wall that you're seeing on our live Max Defender 8 radar.
You want to know where the extreme wind warning, Manatee, Hillsborough, Pinellas counties. Just look at radar here, folks. I mean, look at the north to northeast quadrant of the storm. You can see those shades of red moving into southern Pinellas, into Hillsborough, and of course the eastern sections of it already impacting Manatee County. Please be safe out there, folks. Whatever you have to do, moving into an interior room, talking about putting a mattress over your head if necessary. This is not to be taken lightly. Certain areas will get sudden wind gusts that could be, and what speeds? I mean, we're talking,
I would say 90 to 100 miles per hour are certainly possible within that core of red that you see in Manatee County, and working its way north on 75 and 275. The conditions over the Skyway Bridge, we saw one of the last images we do feel from the Skyway Bridge earlier. Some of the worst
there, by the way.
is ongoing there at the Skyway Bridge in southern portions of Pinellas County. So again, right there as you come off the bridge, south side of St. Pete, Terra Verde, out towards St. Pete Beach, they're just getting into that eye wall. And that's going to be the strongest portion of the storm from here moving forward. Here's a camera shot. This is
I-275, 22-mile marker, 5th Avenue North, and we're going to see this
bouncing around quite a bit.
We do not have the Sunshine Skyway Bridge shot anymore. That was a bit of foreshadowing, I suppose, earlier, ominous foreshadowing when I said, I don't know how long this shot is going to last. And for the first time, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge camera is out. So we don't know what conditions are like there, but I would imagine pretty rough at the moment. This is, again, I-275, 5th Avenue North. That's, of course, 275 is the main interstate artery that goes through Tampa and
Pinellas
County as well. And this is, again, at the 22nd mile marker.
Just showing how the wind is, or the rain is being wind driven as this storm is coming ashore here in the Tampa Bay area. And we are on broadcasting here live and streaming live with you. Time now is 6:40. Justin Mosley alongside JB Buno. And again, we're watching this as this storm is impacting a historic storm here in the Tampa Bay area, southward along the Suncoast. So again, Manatee and Sarasota counties bearing the brunt of this. And if this track continues, Sarasota County will work its way into the eye where the conditions will actually begin to calm and the winds will begin to calm down. It doesn't look like you're going to clear out is from a cloud cover standpoint, but the winds are going to come down considerably. The rain will come to an end, and this is all temporary because there's a backside of the storm to go through. But the eye is fairly large. When we measured it I'd say about 45 minutes ago, it was at 60 miles in diameter, a very large eye that we're looking at with this storm. But again, we're going to continue to stream and broadcast throughout the duration through landfall and thereafter as this storm is battering now portions of Manatee, Sarasota, northward into Pinellas and Hillsborough County with the extreme wind warning in place. And so everybody should shelter in place as this storm continues to move through.
Easterly jog. It is a hook. I'm serious. Look at this hook to the east. This hook.
It'll be interesting when we get the update, JB, from the Hurricane Center. You see where the icon is.
Yeah.
That icon needs to be moved over because the center of the storm now is a lot further to the east. And we get a new position update at the top of the hour. So we've got just over 15 minutes to go to get that icon moved from the National Hurricane Center. The track will not change, but the icon that you see will be considerably further to the east as we see the storm with our Max Defender radar. This is our severe weather tool that we track this hour by hour, frame by frame. One of the strongest radars anywhere in the state of Florida, an S-band radar able to penetrate through these extreme rain bands and see out to the eye of the storm. And we can track that northern eye wall battering Manatee County, getting to southern Hillsborough County, Ruskin, Sun City Center, going to be going through some of the worst of this storm over the next hour, and you should brace for it as it works its way northward along 75, places like Gibsonton, Apollo Beach, Sun City Center, getting into Fishhawk, and up around Brandon. That is our area of concern, and before too long, if this trend holds, the south side of Tampa will deal with some of the strongest from this hurricane in that northern eye wall here.
So Justin focusing very much on the northern eye wall, and you can clearly see all of the activity that we're picking up on Max Defender 8 radar at the north section of the storm. It's obvious. I mean, you're looking at it, right? What is interesting to me as well is that, correct me if I'm wrong, please chime in here if I am wrong, is that at this point, it is scientifically impossible for storm surge in Tampa Bay to the catastrophic levels that we have been talking about over the last several days, that the counterclockwise motion cannot, right? Correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, we aren't anticipating those type of levels of storm surge. Will there be a water level rise in the bay? Absolutely. I do think that the levels will come up, but the catastrophic surge that we've been so fearful of, and we thought that the potential this would be the storm that we've been talking about, I don't see that materializing right now. Given the trend on the radar that we see at this point in time, the storm is moving ashore as we speak. Sarasota and Manatee counties, the heading still northeast, 17 miles an hour. I mean, it would really have to change drastically. And at this point, we're kind of running out of time to get a drastic motion to the north. As far as I can see, with everything that we have back here in the Weather Center, the storm is beyond that heading that the National Hurricane Center has put out for us, and that track has been very accurate. And that heading is going to continue. And with that in mind, that battering northern eye wall is going to do just that. It's going to continue to batter Pinellas and Hillsborough counties, in particular southern Hillsborough and southern Pinellas County. Again, there's another live shot here in Pinellas. We're looking north on 275 where the winds are extremely strong. They're beginning to pick up as that northern eye wall is beginning to move in and batter portions of Pinellas and southern Hillsborough County. So that's what we'll be working off of over the next several hours here as the eye moves in.
I know Jeff's probably resting his vocal cords. Can I ask Jeff one question here? Because this pertains to storm surge scenario 1 that we have been talking about, Jeff, for the last several days. Storm surge, the water levels likely will rise per Justin. But, here's what I wanted to ask you, Jeff. What's interesting about this, I'm looking here at Charlotte Harbor. Is there going to be that same, Eric Stone called that mini Tampa Bay. Is that inlet going to see storm surge with the storm jogging this far to the east? I mean, with Wobble Tracker showing this movement to the east, is Charlotte Harbor expected to see significant adverse impacts from this last-minute movement?
So first of all, again, excuse my voice because it's basically.
You've really lost it.
Yeah, well, mostly. If I start talking louder, then I get it back.
If I knew.
No. Listen, I listen. Duty calls. It's okay. I can answer this question, and then it's fine. Because here it is. Cape Coral is the only gauge that we have. Fort Myers. It's the only gauge we have down there. There's a desert of NOAA gauges from Fort Myers all the way to Tampa Bay. There are no gauges anywhere, which is ridiculous. But so their level is going up fast. It is about 5 feet above what it should be right now. No, 4 feet. 4 feet. So it's just a little less than 4 feet of surge in Fort Myers right now. So you can imagine that it's much higher.
A little
Port
further
Charlotte, and then even higher than that in Bradenton.
And I'm looking at the report from the latest advisory. Charlotte Harbor, they're calling for 8 to 12 feet of storm surge in the harbor. So we've been kind of preaching anywhere south of the landfall point, that would be the highest storm surge. Now, of course, the harbor, there's an indentation, but we do anticipate the water levels to come up significantly in the harbor.
I mean, think about this. History is being made by like 10 miles. You know, if this had come into Tampa Bay, and don't get me wrong, this is going to be a very memorable and catastrophic storm for some people, especially south of Tampa. But if this had come just a few miles north, you know, it would have been just disastrous, even more so, you know. Anyway, I guess I'm going to have to...
Yeah, your commenters say maybe some hot tea, honey, right? I think is the trick.
So listen, Ashley, I'm hoping other people know the answer to this. I don't think there's any tricks, but let me tell you what I've been doing. I've been gargling salt water for like the past half hour. In fact, I'm starting to grow gills. I don't know if you can see them. Okay, I've drank like 5 teas. I'm sucking on lozenges. I mean, I don't know if anybody has a trick, I'm sitting here. So, yeah, I know there's someone out there that may have some trick that can help me. Maybe.
Tag me or Jeff or both of us on X, Twitter, whatever it is. Let's just get this man some help. The best remedies. Can we hear it for Jeff literally giving up his vocal cords to for his audience? Can we hear it in the comment section? Jeff, thank you for everything that you do.
No, you're welcome. And I really am interested in seeing if our viewers, listeners, come up with anything that can help me to solve this in the next hour or so. Because this is like
he's got a long way to go, everybody.
Yeah, I have a long way to
for
go.
sure.
That's for sure.
Very long way.
Jeff is at WeatherProf, you guys, on Twitter. One person just chimed in the comment section here. I'm going to type this in. One person chimed in the comment section saying the only real remedy, truly, is to give your vocal cords some rest, which you don't want to do, but
that's nearly impossible at this point.
Yeah, this is a historic storm, and this is what Jeff does. So, folks, you can tweet or X post at him, whatever you want to call it,
I'm looking.
and make some recommendations, because we need to, help you out, Jeff, if possible. But thank you. If you want, you're more than welcome to sit here, because we're about to go through some reported submissions. If you want to see what people are sending in from the viewing area, so feel free. Yes, there you go. Yes, sign language. Thumbs up. Let's go back to report it and show what people are sending in here. This was Mark earlier from Palmetto. Let's keep moving along in the queue. Next up, with a title. This is Andres, and this is Sebring, hurricane gust winds. Thank you for that video and really putting the work in it to add the title. Daniel says that this is happening now in Bay Pines. This is the current snapshot. And says that this garbage can, he says in the comment, the garbage can's name is Albert? I don't know what that means. But yeah, I guess what Daniel is getting at here is that there is sheer and utter shock that garbage can is not rolling down the street. I don't know what physics are at play here, that garbage can is just kind of laughing at Milton, but clearly not rolling down the street. Maybe it's because it's just filled to the brim with water.
With water or sand or something like that.
Yep. But Daniel, thank you for sharing. This is Megan in Clearwater.
Oh, what are you doing? Oh.
Yeah, the pup's not going to want to go out in a hurricane. Please be safe with your pets. Please, Megan, just be safe. I see the pooch out there, Justin, and I just get nervous.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't know if a piece of debris could fly down the street that's a small dog.
Use caution.
Doesn't matter if it's a small dog or big dog, but I just, get very, very concerned. Next up in the queue, this is Dave from Bee Ridge, 6:30, flooding and wind.
That's in Sarasota County, near just south of downtown Sarasota.
Yep. I was waiting for the pickup truck to just kind of, plow through this like we always see. In every video, there's a flooded street and a pickup truck saying, you know what? Can I say the H word? To H with it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word.
H-E double hockey sticks.
Yes, H-E double hockey sticks. Let's see here. This is Kemuel says this is Tampa Bay McMullen Booth Bridge, Clearwater. Thank you for that video on Report It. Winds picking up in Mayaca City, Gopher Hill Road. Jeff, we'll catch you later. Thanks for stopping in. This is from JP. Yeah, things picking up there in Mayaca City. JP, thank you very much. Next up in the queue on WFLA.com/reportit. This is a picture coming in from Dalton, branches falling onto a van. Yeah, this is going to be widespread across the area.
And we're awaiting a position update as of 7 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. But we can see with the radar trend here that the storm is moving along, and there is the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. It's following it pretty closely there, JB. But again, I draw your attention to that northern eye wall that you're hearing a lot about, and that's one of the reasons we saw that alert come out from the National Hurricane Center. We all got it on our phones. For the high wind warning that is going on for Manatee into Sarasota, Southern Hillsborough, and Pinellas counties. And that's due to the eye wall battering that area. So again, in Bradenton, Palmetto, getting into Tampa now, the squalls, we'll have to check back in with our own Jeff Patterson before too long, as weather conditions will continue to deteriorate. But I'm most concerned about that area of red that you see highlighted on the radar. Those are the high reflectivity values. That's the strongest portion of Hurricane Milton, Category 3 storm. It is now coming ashore in our viewing area. Just think about that. Another landfalling system here just south of Tampa Bay proper, but affecting the Suncoast tremendously with a lot of heavy rain and wind.
Let's also point out that we are nearing a landfall event, but the eye wall, the edge of the eye wall reaching land is not landfall.
Correct.
Landfall is when the center of the eye, or what the NHC says is the center of the eye. I mean, try to draw an X in the middle of that eye and pinpoint the center. That's when that moves over land, that is when they declare a landfall event. It usually comes with a special advisory being put out by the NHC. They declare landfall. They usually give a location, not always, but they always do, let us know about it, and usually provide a location. That is probably going to occur. The time is now 6:55. I'm going to say before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I would say between 7 and 8 o'clock, somewhere in that window, we'll probably see landfall.
So you think in the next hour?
I mean, looking at the radar, I mean, it's very possible. The storm is moving along. I believe the last report I had was 17 miles an hour as of the Last advisories, if I can find that.
Yeah, but clearly, really, in the next hour or so, we can say for sure,
northeast.
There is going to be a landfall declaration by the NHC. We're in the thick of it right now, folks. This is the real-time wobble tracker, and
we're going to adjust that wobble tracker to a little further to the north so we can get a better picture of the rest of the viewing area, because the storm is moving in, and there are more effects for our Nature Coast listeners and viewers up there. So again, Citrus, Hernando, Pasco, bands of rain moving in. Tropical storm force winds continue to increase from south to north. So Pasco County dealing with those tropical storm force winds inside of those rain bands. You can see that Zephyr Hills, Dade City, over to Newport Richey, Holiday, and all those areas are dealing with these bands that are rotating through. A little further north into Brooksville, as well as Spring Hill and Weeki Wachee. Again, the winds will be not as strong a little further north you go, but again, as the storm progresses to the north and east, weather conditions there will continue to deteriorate. Polk County, at least the eastern portions of the county, catching a little bit of a break right now. We don't see the extreme amount of rain band activity there around Lake Wales and down into Frostproof, but western sections of Polk County around Lakeland and down into Bartow, again, there's a pretty significant band over you, and that's when you can get those stronger winds and also a little more turbulent conditions moving through there.
All right, back to WFLA.com/report it. Your photos and videos coming in from around the viewing area. This is Annette saying Lake Placid Tropical Harbor said that these are the damage photos after the tornado alert hit Lake Placid. So, yeah, this could be the aftermath of a tornado. We'll wait for confirmation from the National Weather Service, but there are some images coming in there. It looks like it was some significant
damage. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and what we look for is that twisted nature of the damage as well. So you have straight line wind damage, and then you have wind damage from tornadic activity, and it's pretty evident when you go out and survey that damage.
All right, this is Rachel in Valrico. Says video of conditions deteriorating in Valrico. Let's listen. Pretty dark there. I wonder if she's lost power. Again, any power outage information, please send in to WFLA.com/report it with a photo or video. Moving next onward to Willie in Tampa.
Power outages are going to become a big concern across that swath of Manatee, Sarasota, Pinellas, Hillsborough, and the Polk.
There's some sparking there off in the distance. Can you see it?
Rain bands that you're seeing.
So clearly,
that's transformer more than likely blowing there in the stronger wind gust, and that's something else that we should make mention if folks are looking out their windows tonight as these strong winds do move through. Associated with the power outages, these transformers blow and the sky will light up. It almost looks like a lightning flash.
Wow.
Green and red and that sort of thing. But yeah, a lot of wind here. Where is this from?
This is East Lake area, Keystone Road and East Lake Road. Says wind and rain increasing. Let's listen in from Tyler and Jade. Thank you, Tyler and Jade. Next up on Report It, this is Jesse in West Chase. Jesse, thank you for sending that in. We're moving fast here. In Clearwater, this is from Din. And next we have Barry on Rowan and Main Street in Newport Richey. Again, you can safely, please be safe, send in your videos, your photos to WFLA.com/report it. This is, wow, the beach. Bonita Beach, early storm surge, says Alex. Yeah, interesting to look here at the beaches and see the water moving in and closer to those vehicles that are parked in that parking area.
Yeah.
Next up, sturdy palms and gusty winds in Bradenton. Really descriptive text here. October 9th, 625 Bradenton near Lockwood Ridge Road and State Road 70. Look at those palm trees.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible the amount of wind that they can take, compared to other trees, like, oak trees, many times will topple over before a palm tree does.
What do we got here? This is Jordan. Oh, my goodness. Check this out. Tree hitting power lines already. Venice, Florida. Oh my goodness. So she captured that moment and sent it in. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Nuts.
That she happened to be rolling at that moment. And again, please be safe. You can see this gentleman in the foreground opening up the door, slowly looking out there like, what is going on? And then seeing that's, again, preaching safety out there, folks. Please be as safe as possible. Next up, tree. Nope, that was the last one. Waiting for the queue to refresh. And there it is. Mitchell, downtown St. Pete as of 6 p.m. Let's listen. Mitchell, thank you for sending that in. Yeah, that's Pinellas County, folks. That's right there on the water.
Yeah, that's the bay.
Meredith from Armenia and Azil, flooding wind gusts in South Tampa. Thank you for that. Oh, wow, we've got a screened-in porch area here. This is Wilderness Lakes Preserve, Land O'Lakes, Hurricane Milton from Jason. Look at all that rain.
Those trees just bearing the wind. Man, incredible stuff there.
Next up, this is Michelle, Bradenton, Cortez and 43, 6:33 p.m. And last one up here in the queue, this is Andrew in Tampa, Egypt Lake. No audio on this video, but wow. Look at that. They're up to beyond their ankles in water, and it's rising on that vehicle and rising fast.
And clearly this was earlier because of the daylight that was there, and the water continues to pile up in Hillsborough County and points to the north, and that is a big concern. You may not see storm surge there, but freshwater flooding is going to be a major issue. We were thinking on the order of 10 to 12 inches of rain. So I was just looking at some of these reports.
Really quick, hold that thought. Live interview coming in from Brittany Muller. Let's listen in.
During a crisis.
It's been really nice. Like you said, I have a dog, I have a German Shepherd, and usually people are afraid of them, but this hotel has been remarkable. Everybody in the lobby, friends, I don't even know people. They're talking to us like we've known each other forever. So I've been really welcomed here, and it's been nice.
Jerry, what do you expect to go home to tomorrow?
Some flooding and water and debris and junk, and hopefully, to be honest with you, I had a boat, and the boat was in the backyard, and I hope it's still there.
So many people feel the same way, but again, materials, their items. I'm so glad that you're safe. Jerry, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I just hope everybody's safe and okay, and we wish for a better tomorrow. You know, everybody take care.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for your time. We're glad that you're safe. We're glad that you're here with us. And obviously, we're inside right now, just riding out the storm. Like so many of you, we're keeping safe, and we're hoping that you're keeping safe as well. For now, reporting live in Manatee County, Brittany Muller, 8 on your side.
And a thank you to Brittany coming back here, everybody. Fixing the earpiece. We're going to get, apparently we are getting in just... We have never seen the volume of photos and videos coming into WFLA.com/report. Our team is going through them right now, and we'll hopefully be able to share them with you. Let's check in with meteorologist Rebecca Barry. She's down in the broadcast studio. Let's listen in.
And I'm hoping we've seen our last surprise with that 10-mile to the north jaunt, moving from a Sarasota center of the track to a Bradenton center of the track. And there's nothing to indicate that that would change at this point. Now, all of our areas experiencing rain at this point. The tornadoes have basically moved on, which is good news. And so what we're seeing out there with the latest 120-mile-per-hour sustained winds, it's 35 miles west-southwest of Sarasota, Florida at this point. And so it's moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. So that's what moves it to the north of Sarasota in terms of the official landfall. But when it comes to impacts, they're going to be the same in Bradenton and Sarasota. The storm surge may be a little higher in Sarasota because the eye wall is a little bit closer to that Bradenton area. But it's going to maintain Category 1 hurricane strength as it crosses the state. That means the eye wall is going to move over Polk County. It's going to move over Orlando. We're still going to see hurricane force winds over along the east coast of the state. And so it's going to make about an 80-mile path wide swath of hurricane force winds across the state. That's going to result in power outages, lots of damaged and downed trees. And we're looking at flooding in two different areas. We're looking at flooding from rainfall to the north of the eye. We're looking at flooding from storm surge to the south of the eye. This is our wobble tracker, and this gives us the first indication that we're seeing something change. And so this is the path that the system has taken. This is the current location. It's still Category 3. And this is the center line of the forecast track for the National Hurricane Center. And so when we see the satellite and the radar images not quite line up with the center of that track, that lets us know that something's going to be a little different. And so right now it does look like a slightly southern wobble. The northern edge of the track is along, the northern edge of the eye wall is along the track, but the eye itself is all to the south of the track. And so we may still end up with a more Sarasota-ish landfall, but this is only about a 10-mile difference here. And so we're looking at anywhere between Sarasota and Bradenton for that actual landfall, which is the center of the surface eye, because we're kind of looking at the upper level eye right here, and then the surface eye is running a little bit further behind. The top of the storm is moving faster than the bottom of the storm at this point. And that's pretty typical once portions of the storm get over the land, because they've been out over the open Gulf, you know, nice warm water fueling them, but also basically a friction-free environment. And now the surface parts of the storm are moving over trees, moving over buildings, moving over hills, creating a lot of friction. So that slows the surface of the storm down a bit, while the upper levels of the storm continue to race on in that more friction-free environment. And so we're seeing that wobble looking like more of a Sarasota track. This is River Watch. So this is out in front of the station. It's the Hillsborough River. It feeds into the bay, and you can see here the water still feeding out. And so we expect that along the current trajectory. The nightmare scenario for the Tampa Bay area would be a jaunt to the north that would bring the onshore winds into the bay. We would see the water rushing the other way and also getting much, much higher very quickly. I think what some people don't really understand about storm surge is how quick it is. It goes from not everything's okay because you're in the middle of a hurricane, but this is all manageable and this is all survivable, to water rushing in your home, water rushing on shore and not receding. And it just keeps going up and keeps going up and keeps going up. If you talk to storm survivors from some of the last serious storms that had to run up into their attic or had to run up into their second floor, it's very, very fast. This has been one of our better cameras, and the rain has cleared out from Lakewood Ranch, but these are the eye wall winds. The surface eye wall is moving on shore in Manatee and Sarasota counties, and we've got whitecaps out on the lake there. And so it's just been incredibly windy there. These wind gauges don't pick up on the severe winds, so please don't just ignore that number. I'm keeping all of the stats up because the rainfall numbers they're okay. When you have this much wind, it's hard to get an accurate gauge of rainfall, because, oh man, our Manatee Skycam went down. That one was of the marina. And so we're starting to see those power outages. We're starting to see the internet outages, and that's going to continue, unfortunately. We were talking about the rainfall to the north of the eye. This is what it looks like. Very heavy radar estimated rainfalls in coastal Manatee County, moving up into Pinellas County. But when you look at what we're going to see moving forward, it's really a swath from and it's about a 20-mile long swath, 20-mile wide swath from Pinellas through northern Hillsborough and into Pasco County, where we're going to see upwards of another foot of rain. And so we're going to see rainfall flooding in these areas, because when you get a foot of rain, it all runs into the low-lying areas, and it's going to run there very quickly, and we're not going to have time to drain. And so in between now and about 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, it will continue to rain as heavily as it is right now in Pinellas County, in northern Hillsborough County. We're also sampling the winds on the backside of the eye. So the eastern edge of the eye, the northeastern edge of the eye here, these are the upper level winds. And so they're packing a punch in terms of wind speeds that are going to be moving on after the eye does. So this is the eye right here. And so we've sampled some of those very heavy wind. The heaviest of the winds are on the northeastern and upper levels of the eye here. So that's all going to move on shore within the next 2 to 3 hours. And so the upper levels of the eye have moved on shore. This is the lower level starting to make its way on shore. And so that makes sense why we just lost the Manatee camera there, because that's those potential sustained winds of 120 miles per hour with gusts of even higher than that. And so the areas that will experience that are Bradenton southward down, maybe Northport could see those sustained winds as well. Once the winds start to make their way on shore, we'll see some wind gusts upwards of 100 miles per hour across the central parts of our area. We could see it in southern Pinellas, could see it in Hillsborough, could see it in Polk, definitely could see it in Manatee, Sarasota, and Hardy counties as this system continues to race on. And this is Max Defender 8, so we're getting updates by the minute of this very heavy rainfall. And this is the rain that I'm worried about right here for flooding. But we're talking 10 to 18 inches of rain total, but it's 10 to 15 feet of storm surge to the south of the eye that we're looking at from Bradenton southward. And so especially Fort Myers is probably feeling more surge than they thought they would with this more southern landfall, because it's driving all of that water down into Punta Gorda and Bonita Springs. Areas like Matlacha that were very hard hit with previous hurricane are now seeing insult to injury, with Milton bringing 10 to 15 feet of storm surge possible. The only good news is that Milton's moving very, very quickly. Zooming in on some of the heavier areas of rain, now the heaviest of the rain has shifted past Sarasota and Bradenton, and that's good. Now they're experiencing those hurricane level winds, just like our Lakewood Ranch camera we just looked at. It wasn't raining heavily there, but we could tell how windy it was. But you get the wind and the rain mixed in Pinellas, as well as Hillsborough, parts of Polk County, and Pasco County now. And so our I-4 counties and northward, just in the middle of a deluge. I don't know if you were woken up by the rain early this morning like I was. It was raining really hard for a little while. It's going to do that for hours upon hours upon hours for these counties. And so that's what we're anticipating moving forward. So let's go ahead and move on in your forecast, because we do have a high risk of excessive rain. This is the additional rainfall. So on top of what we've already seen, where we've already looking at those radar estimated rainfall totals of 8 or 9 inches, we're expecting another 8 to 12 inches of rain on that swath that we were talking about from Pinellas County northward into northern Hillsborough, into eastern Pasco, and Hernando. Eastern Hernando could get in on that as well. The theme park's getting lots of rain in Orlando as well, but to the south of that eye, almost nothing. We're talking 4 inches of rain, maybe 5 inches of rain to the south of the eye, and so that's certainly a manageable amount of rain. But along the coastline there is where we see the storm surge. I like to check in on our current wind speeds, although they never really reflect how hard the winds get. It's just kind of a glimpse of what the wind speeds look like right now.